hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father, I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. Make sure you hit the number 1 button as you come in. I would like to first thank everybody for being here. I want to show you my appreciation by first acknowledging all the people who are here. And I am honored to be here, especially to talk about such a serious topic. And, you know, I will do my very best to give you information that other people haven't given you. I'll do my best to be honest and forthright, even though this is a tough conversation that we're going to have, even though we have a lot of tough conversations here. But more importantly, you know, we're going to make sure we honor those who are no longer with us. I will change up some of my language because I do want to make sure that this broadcast reaches as many people as it can possibly reach. And so I may supplant words. You guys will figure out what I mean. I may use something like unalive instead of the M word when a person is no longer with us. But other than that, I expect you guys to hit the number 1 button. Let me know you're still here. Hit the number 1 button. If you are in here, make sure you hit the number 1 button. I don't see any comments so far. I see that the crowd is building. I want you guys to make sure make sure all the comments section is the comment section working. How's the sound? And you guys hear me? Is the sound okay? Let me know if you can hear me. Is the sound okay? Somebody said, JM, hey Uncle D, what's up? Rosebud, how are you? Looking for my wrench mob. Shout out to the wrench mob, everybody who keeps the chat room kosher. I want to acknowledge you all. FBA National, thank you so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Appreciate you too. Well, you know, I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'll share this quick video with you so you guys will know why we're here if you don't already.
Proceeded to shoot 10 people, 8 of them being children ranging ages 1 to 14 in Louisiana. The police are saying that this is a result of what they're calling a domestic disturbance, and the suspect, the alleged gunman, is dead after a car chase with police. And remember, these are preliminary reports. The children age from ages 1 years old, so a literal baby, to ages 14. And this means that this guy, this person, went to these 4 locations specifically seeking out these children to hurt them. And for the next couple of days, we're going to be talking about motives, what his motive was. Was he going through a divorce? Was he going through this? There's no motive for murdering people because you're angry. My auntie used to say with these mass shooters, and that don't mean it's the right thing. She used to say, don't hurt people, just hurt your damn self. But to take the lives of 8 children and to shoot 10 people total across all of these different locations, there's no motive. There's no excuse.
And as you can see, people are highly unforgiving of this particular sort of heinous crime, especially involving children. And I don't expect anybody to offer any forgiveness. But I do want to be able to put it in context. So people can hopefully learn from this tragedy so that we don't continue to go down this path. I will play some more videos later, but I think it's important that we go ahead and get started. And along with that, there's the other issue, the other incident that happened very similar to this involving the gentleman's name is Justin Fairfax. He's a former lieutenant governor of Virginia. Now, again, let's go ahead and do this the right way. My name is Dennis Spurling, and before we get into this discussion, I want to, I should say, take a moment to acknowledge the families affected by what we're about to talk about. I also want to address something directly from the beginning. The two men that you see on the thumbnail that we're discussing are Black American men. And I already know how this is going to play out. Many of you have seen this before, along with myself. There are always people, particularly those who have racial agendas and bias, who will take situations like this and use them to reinforce those negative stereotypes about Black men. They'll say, this is what Black men do. They'll frame it as violence being inherent to Black men. They'll lean into those same tired narratives we've heard for decades. But what we're not going to do is allow that ignorant narrative to take shape, not without me putting forth some information that could be helpful to everybody. Now, so before we even before the, YT supremacists, as they say, try to twist this into something, let's be clear, okay? We're not going to allow this to, we're not going to allow those racist talking points to come in. There are people who will take a tragedy like this and immediately try to use it to reinforce negative stereotypes about Black men, about our behavior as inherent or expected. And that's not just wrong, it's dishonest. Thank you so much, Beverly White. I appreciate you for being the first person to contribute to the Super Chat. Now, the truth is, when you look at the broader data and history, family annihilation, which is what we'll call this, is more commonly associated with white men. Okay, and to be precise, there's no single official FBI table that isolates family annihilation by race, but the studies consistently find that a majority of family annihilators in the United States are white men, often in their 30s and 40s. They reveal that 60 to 80% of the cases of family annihilation, followed by smaller portions of Black and Hispanic and other groups, is that's what I mean, okay? So if I want to say it succinctly, 29 to 30% of the family annihilations are 29 to 30% of the population commits 60 to 80% of the family annihilations. That's the typical profile. It's a white male married or separating, okay, from his wife, facing financial stress or relationship breakdown. And in many cases, the violence ends in unalivement or self-unalivement. So no, this is not a Black issue per se. It's never has been one. And we're not going to allow racist narratives to hijack this tragedy and turn it into propaganda that misleads people and unfairly targets an entire group of men, i.e. the group of men that I advocate for, and that is Black men. That's a fact that will not minimize or overlook what has happened, okay? We're not going to sit here and allow this moment to be weaponized to paint all Black men with a broad brush while ignoring a larger pattern that exists elsewhere. At the same time, brothers, let me be clear, nothing about that reality excuses what happened in these two incidents. Nothing. There's nothing about that that makes this less of a tragedy or less devastating. The loss of life, especially children, is unacceptable under any circumstances. And this is an extremely sensitive situation. Lives have been lost, children's lives have been lost, and nothing about this is is an easy process. I'm going to handle this with as much care and respect and decorum as possible while still delivering some facts that are not being delivered to the public. You can read into that what you will. Now, my goal here isn't to sensationalize anything. It's not to exploit this tragedy. It's to bring clarity, and hopefully somewhere in that clarity, there's a lesson we can all take away. And if there isn't a lesson, then at the very least, you'll leave here fully informed, or from what we know at this point, as to what happened and hopefully how this tragedy can be avoided. Now, look, we can't change what happened. And it's already happened. And all we can do is try to understand it and process it and move forward. But what we are going to do or should I say, what we are going to do is refuse to let misinformation or incomplete narratives distort the situation even further. Because if you've been paying attention to the coverage, you probably already see how quickly the story was framed. The headline becomes "A Black Man Unalived 8 children, 10 children, or 10 people, shot 10 people," and on his face it sounds like that's the entire story. It's shocking. It's supposed to be. It's horrifying, and it should be. But the problem is that that's not the full picture. And when people rush to push incomplete, misleading information without taking the entire time to verify the facts, even the mass media, basic facts, they contribute to a narrative that does more damage than good, especially when that narrative disproportionately impacts an entire group of men, i.e. Black men. Now, I built my platform around advocating for Black men and protecting the image of Black men. And that doesn't mean defending wrongdoing. I don't do that here. It does mean providing context. It means making sure the truth is told in full. The truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, not fragments. It means pushing back when narratives are shaped in a way that misleads people. So on this occasion, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to walk through the facts carefully, responsibly, and completely so that we can move beyond the reaction and into understanding. Are you guys with me on that? Is that fair? Is that a fair thing to do? If you guys are okay with that, let me know. Type "that's fair." Because this is the only way that we should be dealing with tragedies. Okay? If you guys are with me, type "that's fair." All right? Let me know. We do call and response here. All right, let me see some. It's fair. All right, we got a couple. We got a couple of yes sirs. Now let's talk about, now you guys have seen the title of this broadcast. I entitled this, "Some Men Aren't Built to Play the Game." I did that for a reason. And there are no games being played here, but there is a game afoot. Now I want to talk about what I mean by that. When I say some men aren't built to play this game. Because that's exactly what this is. It's a game, so to speak, whether people want to admit it or not. Divorce is a game, custody is a game, child support is a game, marriage is a game, relationships are a game, life is a game. And as long, and as far as it's long, it's expensive, it's exhausting game, and it will test you mentally, financially, and emotionally. A lot of men go through it and a lot of men survive it, but surviving it requires something most men these days don't have. It requires discipline, it requires patience, it requires the ability to take losses over and over and over again without crashing out. See, I know firsthand. I've been I've been in an ongoing custody battle for 11 years for my youngest son. I have 3 boys. I was married once before my current marriage, so I've been married a total of twice. I have 3 sons. 2 sons, my oldest sons, 2 oldest sons from a first marriage, 1 from a non-marriage. And from that non-marriage, I've been embroiled in the custody battle since 2015. So that's going on 11 years. $11 years over multiple jurisdictions. And when I say multiple jurisdictions, I mean multiple countries. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of my money spent. On top of that, time that I will never get back. There's been years where I didn't have any access to my son. No phone calls, no visits, no nothing. Even though there was a custody agreement in place. And it's not because I wasn't fighting, not because I wasn't paying my child support as ordered. I filed custody modifications for my older children. But altogether, collectively, I've spent over $200,000 easy in child support, not just child support, more than that in child support, but over $200,000 in attorney's fees. Easy. Some people could buy a house with that. Just trying to be a father to my sons in a system that makes you earn your position over and over again. So I understand the pressure. I understand what it feels like to lose, to lose standing, to lose money, to feel like you're being buried and still have to wake up and keep fighting again. But here's the truth. Lots of people don't want to say out loud. They don't want to say this. A lot of men are not built for that. A lot of men are not built to be husbands. They're not even built to be fathers. They're not built to step into a household with other people's children and carry that responsibility. They're not built to lose everything: money, family, control, reputation, status, and then have to rebuild from nothing while the system keeps pressing on them. They are not built to sit in courtrooms and deal with attorneys and follow orders that they don't agree with and keep their emotions in check while their life is being reshaped in real time. That takes a certain kind of man. And when a man doesn't have that in him, he doesn't have that discipline, the restraint, the long-term mindset. What you get in colloquial terms is a crash out. When everything collapses at once and he sees no way forward, no control, no exit, some men don't rebuild, they self-destruct and they destroy everything around them. Okay? They don't just take themselves with them. They take everything around them with them. And that, whether people want to accept it or not, is what it looks like here in this particular situation. Now, I have some more videos I'm going to share with you guys. I want you all to make sure you hit the number button if you can hear it clearly. I hope my microphone is clear. I'm going to continue to let these videos play, and these videos speak for themselves, fair use, and we shall.
Anyone could ever imagine with adults and children inside the same home.
A man fatally shot 8 children across several homes. 7 of them were his own, according to police in Shreveport, Louisiana. A coroner's office told CNN the children killed were ranging in age from 3 to 11, including 7 siblings and a cousin.
So there was a nice child here that actually was able to escape this heinous act. He jumped off of the roof while fleeing from the suspect in this case, and he did have some injuries, but he is expected to recover.
2 adult women were also shot and wounded. Authorities identified the gunman as Shamar Elkins, who was fatally shot by officers during a police chase. Elkins served in the State National Guard for 7 years until 2020, according to the U.S. Army.
Okay, now I'm doing my best not to interrupt the videos because you all have told me you all want to hear the videos. But I can tell you now from my own independent research that some of these facts are inaccurate. Okay, I'm not interceding because you all have told me in the past that you want me to let the videos play. But unfortunately, some of you all will look at 1 or 2 minutes of this and think you have the story, and that's not the whole point of me doing this broadcast. But I'm going to let the videos continue because, you know, I know how you all have complained in the past about me interrupting. But I think when I finish, you know, you all will say, darn, I didn't know that. That, you know, it's still a tragedy, but that changes the angle by which I see this. Okay.
Army. He was not deployed. In 2026 in the U.S., there have been at least 114 mass shootings where at least 4 people are shot, not including the shooter. That's according to the Gun Violence Archive. This was the deadliest mass shooting in the U.S. in more than 2 years.
All right, now I'm going to let the next video play, but the first thing you hear them continue to say is these were his children. They keep saying all 8 of these children were this man's children. This man was 31 years old. They keep saying these were his children. Somebody type his children in the chat room. Okay? Now, when you say his children, that we assume that they were all his biological children. And when I finish, I think you all may say, well, that would probably be physically impossible. But let's continue the broadcast. But the reason they're feeding that narrative because it sounds like it's more heinous. It makes it sound even more heinous than it already is, and it feeds the negative stereotype
as a gun.
that you know it wouldn't be on the news like this if it was YT gentlemen who commit 60 to 80% of these type of family annihilations. Okay, but because of and I hate to say it, but we know how racism is. Okay, then they put this photograph of this gentleman up here with the children's faces blocked out. Let's continue looking.
Man who killed 7 of his own children and 1 other child.
7 of his own children and 1 other child. You understand? Listen to his children.
In a violent domestic incident in Louisiana, 31-year-old Shamar Elkins was shot dead by police after stealing a car to flee the scene in Shreveport. The children were reportedly aged from 1 to 14, with police saying 1 child was
age 1 to 14. Again, I try not to interrupt, but even that statement is false. Okay? They probably got it for the police report. And the police reports will probably say, what were the age of children? They're going to say between 1 and 14 on the police report. It's not going to say the exact age because 1 and 14 gives rise to an element necessary in a different kind of crime. Okay? So the police report is not going to have the exact information, but the news just took it and ran with it. So now there are people on the internet who believe that this man unalived a 1-year-old, a baby. Okay, I mean, it's all bad, but you know, it's like they're trying to make it worse, this tragedy worse than what it is, to the point that, you know, there needs to be some correction so we can have some better understanding as to what actually happened, because otherwise it just makes it, this is just unforgivable. I mean, you can't, how do you even deal? It's already bad. Okay, but let's not make it worse so that you can then impugn the nature and character of black men. We know what you're doing. All right, let's keep listening. Again, I'll do my best not to interrupt.
Was shot dead on the roof of their family home trying to escape. 2 adult women, including the mother of the children,
They said their family home. Okay, let's keep listening.
are in a critical condition.
Okay, so we'll keep listening and I'll do my best. I have to say fair use, but we'll do my best to keep it, you know, moving.
News in about 30 seconds. Heartbreaking news to start with. 8 children ages 1 to 14 were gunned down in
There you go. You see him repeating the same thing. Horrible facts, horrible tragedy. But the least the news media can do is be accurate.
Shreveport, Louisiana this morning.
I don't know what people think in the crevices of their mind to want to harm another human being, let alone that of children who have their whole life ahead of them.
Jason Allen is headed there right now and will bring.
I understand why. Psychologists understand why. This is not something new. It's a tragedy. And there's nothing that can make this situation better. It is a tragedy. But as a person who is part of the government, as a person who is part of the legal system, and I'm talking about the lady who was speaking, you understand exactly why. You can put the facts together and figure it out. We all understand what's going on. And by the time I get finished with this, you all will understand that they understand, and they should know better, because unfortunately, they are people who are the purveyors of this particular system. And I'm talking about the legal system, the justice system. Okay. And again, this is going to be harsh. And I'm going to tell y'all now, there's a reason they call me the Blizzard King. It's a reason why I'm probably one of the most unliked people on YouTube. Because I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to sit up here and say thoughts and prayers. I'm not going to sit up here and just start labeling people evil and good. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you these facts, and you can digest them as you will. But they're going to be accurate, whether you like it or not.
Bring us the latest developments. U.S. negotiators head to Pakistan Monday for talks with Iran about the Strait of Hormuz and a ceasefire set to expire.
We'll move on to the next video. You guys make sure you can hear me clearly. I hope you can hear me clearly.
So this the dude, Shamar Elkins, that unallowed his 8 kids in Louisiana.
Now, so you got a young man who's on TikTok, and he took the media reports. He unalived his 8. That's what he said. His 8 children. Okay. That's what so you got people who are just take it and run with it.
This is his wife, the one he had kids with. Her name is Shaniqua Elkins. I see a report that said that he tried to unalive her too, but she made it out. But she currently in the hospital right now. Bro, like I said, as a man, this is the weakest shit you could ever do. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm starting to understand why women is scared of men.
All right, so now you have people, gentlemen like this, who is also a black man, who's also a man, who takes this as an opportunity to score points with women who are already afraid, and these sort of statements help women justify some of their reasoning, whether it be logical or not, for why they make some of the choices that they do about men that they will or will not deal with. So you're only feeding it. You're only making it worse, because you're taking you're taking this as an opportunity to bash all men, specifically black men. That's what this is about. And he himself is a black man. That is the easy way out. That is labeling him a coward, calling him evil, wishing him to be in hell, all these different things. And then on the flip side, praying for the children. And you got white supremacists, you got bigots, and people of other ethnicities who have been hollering black fatigue for the past 2 years are now on the internet pretending as though they're sympathetic to the loss of 8 children and possibly 2 others. Absolutely not. It's disingenuous. Don't let other people use this as an opportunity to further crap on black people, specifically foundational black American people. Don't do that. Make sure if they deliver the story, they deliver it accurately. But that's what there's absolutely no way these white supremacist racists who've been screaming black fatigue for the past 2 years, talking about what they want to do with, are saddened by the fact that black people have been unalived. There's no way. And so don't fall for it. And you gentlemen out there who are misreporting this, these men are cowards. You look in the mirror. You're a black man too. They don't distinguish between you and me and them. For many years, black men, if whoever he committed a crime, we all got impugned with that. Whether he was a foundational black American, a person from the Caribbean or the Africa, that's why you got black Americans saying, hold on, we're going to delineate because there's a lot more Africans and Caribbean in this country, and they have a different culture and different understanding. They do things a little different. We don't want to have to deal with their criminality and it be associated with us. And so we're going to do away with the flat blackness and we're going to delineate. All right. So let's go ahead and continue listening to this.
Why is it always us that's crashing out like this? I'm a man, bro. I'm not against.
It's not always us. Okay. It's not always us. Women crash out also. And if you mean us by black men, it's not always us. In fact, as I said earlier at the top of this broadcast, 60 to 80% of the family annihilations are done by white men. Okay? Let's continue.
Us at all, but why? You barely see women try to unalive their whole family. Are we weaker than women nowadays? I thought we all had the same mental capacity, but I'm starting to think they stronger in the mind. And I'm not saying that all men is like this, because I'm not like this at all.
Of course, he would distinguish himself from that. Okay, of course. This is what I'm talking about. You got all these people on the internet. Oh, no, not me. I would never. I would never. And they don't know the situation. They don't know the circumstances. If I put you in these same circumstances, let's see what you would do. Okay, and maybe you wouldn't crash out in that regard, but many would drink, many would use drugs, many would do a lot of things. But let's keep listening.
I will never in my life do no bullshit like this. I don't care what I go through. I'll crash out on myself before I take somebody else out that don't deserve it. It's a lot of us out here that's good, but the bad is ruining it. We got to start getting stronger out here mentally and stop having kids when you know your mind ain't ready for that. Them kids.
Yeah, now that is a good point. We need to stop doing things that we're not prepared to do. Many of you listening to this broadcast right now, men and women, but especially men, you are not fit to be a husband. You are not fit to be a father. You're not fit to be a boyfriend. Now, I know that may be difficult. I know you have the equipment and you have the legal capacity to sign the contract of marriage, but you are not fit. And that is something that you need to accept. More importantly, ladies, it's something you need to accept. A lot of men are not equipped to be boyfriends, husbands. Hell, they're not even equipped to be your sexual partner, much less a father. Now, we'll deal with that a little bit later. Let's continue.
This ain't deserve that at all. They ain't asked to be here. A child supposed to have the best life ever. They ain't supposed to fear their own dad. Sadly, the mom of the kids will probably never be the same ever.
That's accurate.
All we can do is pray for her, though.
Let's continue listening.
Escape. Now to some heartbreaking news. Our nation saw its deadliest mass shooting in years when a Louisiana man shot and killed 8 children this morning. Tonight we're learning more about that gunman, Shamar Elkins, who was the father of 7 of those 8 slain children. Tonight, the community...
Now again, you got another person stating he's the father of those 7 kids. Okay, I guess we'll keep listening.
Of Shreveport has been left shattered. The children, 3 boys and 5 girls, ranging in age from 3 to 11.
Police say the crime scene spans 2 houses. It ended when officers opened fire on the gunman during a police chase. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Pulliam is live now with new details tonight. Tim?
Liz, Jory, we now know the names of the 8 kids shot and killed, and we're also learning that the shooter had ties to the military and was known to police.
Now look, just because a person was in the military does not mean they have PTSD. So let's not try to relate this to mental illness. There are a lot of men who've served in the military who don't go crash out on their family. So let's not equate this to military service. In fact, this gentleman was in the Louisiana Army Reserve. My understanding, he was never actually deployed. So it's not like he saw combat, and there's no truth. I don't know of any information that he even left the States. So let's not allot this to the middle. That we always try to place blame where it shouldn't be placed. Oh, PTSD. Oh, mental illness. Maybe there's somewhere else that we need to look. And I think you guys, based on what I'm saying so far, it's a lot closer to home, probably near the courthouse or in the courthouse. Let's keep listening.
This is a Facebook image of the Louisiana man law enforcement believe is a cold-blooded killer. Shreveport police identifying him as Shamar Elkins, the alleged gunman who shot and killed 8 kids. At least 7 of them were his own flesh and blood. The coroner released their names, a total of 7 siblings and a cousin ranging in age from 3 to 11. Jayla, Shayla, Kayla, Layla, Markaden, Soraya, Kedarian, and Braylon. Neighbors mourn their deaths at the crime scene.
This is not a freaking joke. This is real, and this is the result when someone snaps.
Police are still trying to determine.
Now, you heard what she said. This is when someone snaps. So they probably already know what the motivation was in this particular instance.
What motivated the shooting? The attack began before sunrise when police say the suspect shot a woman at one home and then drove to another house.
Did you hear that? This incident started before sunrise. Now, I want you all to understand. I want you to, because this is going to go into my bigger point, okay? The incident started before sunrise, and if you look at the actual camera footage, it happened at about 5:57 a.m. What does that tell me? More likely than not, this gentleman and his estranged wife were in the same home. And I'll give you the address specifically, but it's on Harrison Street. And you know, I'll go into some more details later. If you're divorcing somebody, you need to separate. Let me tell you something. If it's over, it's over. Stop playing with people, both men and women. If you're going to break up, break up. Go about your business. Stop being around each other. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work. Be an adult. You never really know a person until you see them in divorce court. At that particular point, that's who they really are. All of that stuff that happened before, that was a mask. You want to get away from them people, ladies especially. Men too. You're around a woman and she's trying to gain an advantage. Next thing you know, the police are showing up at your house and she's saying you did something to her and now you're getting in handcuffs. Get away from each other. Stop acting like you can't have your cake and eat it too. This goes for men and women. What are y'all doing together at 5:57 in the morning? Messing around. I'm just saying. And you all are getting a divorce. If you're going to stay together, stay together. If you're going to get divorced, then get divorced. But if you are going to stay together, figure out a way to get along with each other. I mean, look, I'm just getting warmed up. Many of you all are not going to like what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay? It's not the children's fault. It's the adults involved in this situation. It's all the adults' fault. And now we as society have to try to pick up the pieces and figure out what happened and what went wrong.
To unleash more violence.
The gray house is the house in which 7 children were located inside that were deceased. There was an additional deceased child that looked like he had tried to escape the residence out the back on the roof.
Officers say a second woman was shot and is believed to be the mother of the suspect's children. Both women are now in the hospital in critical condition. Officers fired at the suspect during a chase after he carjacked the vehicle at gunpoint. ABC News reporting the 31-year-old joined the Louisiana National Guard in 2013 and served 7 years without being deployed. The shooting took place in House Speaker Mike Johnson's district. He offered thoughts and prayers to the family. The shooting.
You hear that, Mike Johnson? He don't care about you, thoughts and prayers. These people have been trying to do everything they can to undermine us systematically. You think they care? And not at all. Not at all. But they will still take something like this and try to use it to throw it up in black people's face. I'm sure some Africans right now looking at this. Look at these niggas. Look how these niggas act. They could. Why you really glad you did it? I'm trying to tell you. So it's important that we get in front of this right now and establish what the actual facts are and what they are not. So these people don't try to use this to further destroy our reputation. They're looking for ammunition, and it's incumbent upon every Black person, especially my foundational Black American brothers and sisters, not to allow them to pile on. This is already a tragedy. Let's not make it worse.
Impacting people beyond Louisiana. The mayor of Shreveport highlighting that in his statement that reads in part, "Tragedy like this does not belong to one family alone. It belongs to all of us. Today, our community is grieving the unimaginable loss of innocent children. There are no words that can make sense of it and no distance that shields us from it."
Take out this evil out of our nation, out of our parish, out of our city, out of our lives, God.
Now he's saying, this is the pastor. Listen to what the pastor's saying.
God, we know mental illness is real, God.
Is it evil or is it mental illness, Pastor? Now, we have a whole Bible which talks about the evil that men do. So is this really something new? See, when you just label something evil, it's easy to dismiss it. It's easy to dismiss it and say he was just evil. If you call it what it is, it forces every person that is listening to me right now to take a look in the mirror. You see? It causes every person to take pause and take accountability for how they say and what they will say to people in certain circumstances. Evil is an oversimplification of what has happened, what's transpired here. We don't need a conclusion. We need the diagnosis. Let's keep listening.
This attack considered one of the deadliest mass shootings in Louisiana. The community asking for prayers.
This community needs you. I need you. Because how do we get through this?
According to the FBI, domestic violence crimes are up. Between 2020 and 2024, law enforcement reported more than 11,000 domestic violence murder victims. In this case, investigators are still trying to figure out what led up to this shooting. Tim Pulliam, ABC7, Eyewitness News.
Tim, thank you. If you are...
These are the kids. Look at these babies. All these children, man. Look at these children. Beautiful Black children. Look at that. Beautiful. Look at them babies. Now, they didn't deserve any of this at all. You know?
Unfortunate start to a Sunday morning for pretty much the whole community here. I'm Peyton Manuel with KSLA News 12. Right now I'm standing on West 79th Street on the intersection of Linwood Avenue. Shreveport police just confirmed from a domestic dispute overnight crossing into the early Sunday morning that a suspect who is now deceased was shooting. Unfortunately, there are multiple victims in this case, hitting the number of 10. 2 of those victims, last that we heard, are adults, 2 adults who are currently in the hospital right now. The other victims, that would leave 8 victims.
2 adults in the hospital. 2 adults in the hospital. You guys remember that? 2 adults in the hospital.
Are unfortunately all deceased. Shreveport police also confirmed that those victims are all juveniles.
Keep in mind, they don't know all the facts.
In the hospital fighting for your life, and then you wake up just to find out that your entire world is gone. 8 children were found unalive this morning in Shreveport, Louisiana. 8.
She's not from Shreveport. It's called Shreveport. And some people from Shreveport will call it Sweetport. Okay? But the name of it is Shreveport.
Ages ranging from 1 year old to 14 years.
The ages are not from 1 to 14. The ages are specifically from 3 to 13. Let's keep listening.
So it started out as a domestic dispute, which quickly escalated into a massacre. 10 people were pew-pew altogether, right? 2 were injured, which is the mother of the children, the wife of the suspect, and her sister. And the unalived were her 8 children, okay? So imagine you fighting for your life in a hospital, and then you wake up to find out your entire world is gone, because I'm quite sure that is how she's going to feel when she found out that every last one of her children are no longer here on this earth.
It's a true tragedy. It's a true tragedy. And there's really absolutely nothing that I can say to lessen the blow. And the only thing I can do is accurately report what I know. And that's the whole point of what I'm doing here. Now, clearly, Shamar Elkins, who's the gentleman you see on the thumbnail, clearly he snapped, okay? And he unalived 8 children, and he shot 2 adults, and 1 little boy who was trying to escape jumped from the roof and broke his leg, but he's going to be okay. So in total, 11 people have physically, permanently changed their whole life, okay? Now, let's go over some facts. It's Sunday morning, April 19th, 2026, at about right before 6 o'clock a.m. Gentleman's name is Shamar Elkins. He's 31, and he carried out what the press is referring to as a domestic mass shooting in Shreveport, Louisiana, that resulted in the demise of 8 little ones. It left 2 adult women wounded. And the 2 adult victims, one, her name was Shaniqua Pug, which is his wife. She was 34, so she's a couple of years older than him. All right. Now, the other, they report her as a woman, but I've searched the internet, and some people are saying it was her sister. Now, the police hadn't verified that. The news hadn't said that. And so all I can do is do some more research to kind of determine if that's accurate. Shaniqua Pug and her sister. I'm not going to mention the sister's name because the press hasn't, and I want to respect the privacy of the family. Now, according to the police, the violence began before sunrise at a residence, and I want you to keep this in mind. The address is on Harrison Street. I know the actual address. It hasn't been reported. But if you know the prefix to New Orleans, when you call in New Orleans, type that in and you'll figure it out. All right. And then you can Google it and you will see that that is the same address that they're showing all across the news media. Okay. When you call New Orleans, what's the first 3 numbers you call? Okay. Add that to the name of the street, Harrison Street in Shreveport, Louisiana. You can figure it out on your own. That's where Shamar Elkins' wife, Shaniqua, was pew-pewed. Okay? He then traveled to the 300 block of East 79th Street. I have that address also. Okay? I have that exact address also. And when you do the research, you will see that her name pops up at that address. So what does that tell me? That tells me that she lived on that 79th Street address. That's what that tells me. She was pew-pewed at the Harrison address, but she lived at the 79th Street address. She was in his presence at 6 a.m. in the morning. I don't know how he got there. I don't know how she got there, but whatever reason, they were there together in this 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house in Shreveport. And at some point, and apparently the argument had started overnight and it escalated into the morning. And by 5:57, it popped off. Now, the couple have reportedly been arguing about their separation prior to the shooting. Let me explain something else to you that's very important. They had a court hearing today. So come Monday morning today, they were supposed to go to court. Shout out to Kenneth Williams for the second super chat. They had an argument probably starting Saturday night, early Sunday morning. By 5:57 a.m., it got to the point that he snapped and he pew-pewed her, shot her here. Let me go again. Shot her here. And when somebody shoots you here, that says a lot. We'll go into that a little bit later. Nevertheless, Shaniqua was shot at the Harrison residence. Shamar then drove to the West 79th Street location, where the remaining victims were pew-pewed. All 8 children were shot at this residence, along with a second adult. Now, again, there are a lot of people saying, oh, that was his other baby mama. We don't even know that he has another. Why would his other baby mama be at his wife's house? I'm not saying it can't happen. But if he did have another baby mama, why would she be at his house overnight? I'm not saying it can't happen. But when I put my, how people really are, I don't think that the wife would be cool with his other baby mama, if he had one, and we don't know that to be true, spending the night at her house with her children. And I'm just saying, shout out to Keon Queeley. So that does not necessarily make sense to me. Now, there are some women on the internet that I like a lot. I would actually refer that question to the Crimson Cure. I would refer that question to Shay Chardre. I would refer that question to Messy Michonne. 3 ladies that I enjoy watching from time to time when I do have time to watch other people's podcasts. Make sure you tag them on this video and tell them, and I'll probably tag them on this video too, and tell them that I think this is some subject matter that they should deal with, because I'm going to say some things that women may be able to take better coming from another woman than coming from me. Okay? As nice as I may try to sound, it does not come out nice. I understand that. Okay? But the bottom line is, he went from this Harrison address to this 79th Street address where his children were. And there was another woman there watching his children. On top of that, Shaniqua, his wife, was associated with that address. Now, that Harrison address wasn't owned by either one of them. It apparently is a rental property. It belongs to someone else. In fact, a lot of different people have owned this property. You see? That's probably a rental property. It's probably some kind of shared house. And given the fact that they were separating and they had a divorce proceeding coming up today, it makes sense that Shamar Elkins had been staying there after moving out of the family home, the 79th Street dwelling. Okay? Now, there's no record proving he officially rented it, but everything about that house suggests it's the kind of place someone could stay temporarily, especially if they're going through a divorce. Now, the distance between the Harrison Street location where the first pew-pew happened and the 300 block of West 79th Street is about 3 to 5 miles, depending on the exact points of travel. Okay, but under normal traffic conditions, that drive would take about 8 to 12 minutes. And during an early Sunday morning in Shreveport, Louisiana, with minimal traffic, it could be as short as 6 to 10 minutes. So this man is driving down the street. Keep in mind that this man has had to be in rage. He has pew-pewed his wife in the face. They're not saying they're saying in the head. It was in the face. And he has a 6 to 10 minute drive. His adrenaline's pumping. I don't know what his intention were for going over there. We know what he did. Okay? But again, in that 6 to 10 minute time period, he had a lot of time to digest whatever was going on in his head. Bottom line is, and with the adrenaline, we can assume that the movement between these two places was rapid. This wasn't an hour and 40-minute drive. Now, after the shootings at the West 79th Street residence, and I don't want to rehash all of that. You guys see the news. 8 children were, were pew-pewed, and the adult was pew-pewed who was there. Elkins then fled the scene. I don't know what happened to the vehicle he was in. There's no indication that he walked from the Harrison address to the 79th Street address, so I'm assuming he was driving. There's no indication that he, I don't know what happened to the car that he was driving. So he carjacked another car at gunpoint. There's no indication as to what happened to the vehicle he was in between the first and the second location. And again, there's no evidence that he traveled on foot. What is established is that he used the carjacked vehicle to flee from Shreveport, Louisiana to Bossier City, which is sister cities. Okay? Now, Bossier City is in Bossier Parish, which is the parish over, and I know it sounds like a long distance away, but it's not. And the police went in hot pursuit, and it ultimately ended with them unaliving him. Now, that drive from 79th Street to Bossier City normally takes 25 minutes. But you got police in a high-speed chase is probably shorter. Now, the Cato Parish Coroner's Office has identified the children. I'm not going to say their first names. Okay? They said it. I'm not going to say it. But what I will tell you is this. I'm going to give you the first initial and the last name. First initial, 3-year-old female J. Elkins. Second, 5-year-old female S. Elkins. So what do we learn? 2 of the children have the same last name as the father. Third child, 5-year-old K. Pug. Fourth child, 6-year-old L. Pug. Both of those are females. Fifth child, 10-year-old male child, initials M, last name Pug. So that's 3 children with the Pug last name. Let's recap. We got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old with the shooter's last name. You got a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 10-year-old with the mother's last name. And then there's 3 other children. First initial S, last name Snow. Next child, first initial K, last name Snow, 6-year-old. The first one was 11, then you have a 6-year-old, then you have a little boy whose last name is Snow, first initial B, 5 years old. So now let's run this back. 7 of those 8 children were, as the media says, were his children. 7 out of the 8. 3 of them have the same last name Snow. 3 of them have the same last name Pug. And 2 of them, the youngest, have the same last name Elkins. Now, the news report is saying 7 of these children were his. Reports have indicated that many of the children, they were pew-pewed in the head while they were asleep. Okay? The women are undergoing in critical condition, they're doing surgery right now, or were. And the police are concluding that, this what's central to this is a domestic incident. Again, they were scheduled to appear in court on Monday, which is April 20th, 2026, the following day, regarding the divorce. So they were really married. The family members are saying they had been arguing about the separation before the shooting. And if they weren't married, they had some sort of child custody matter going on. Now, they bring up the fact that this gentleman had a prior history. He had a DUI in 2016, about 10 years ago. He would have been about 21. He had a firearms conviction in 2019. That's it. No DV. None of that. This man was a military veteran. He had a 9mm handgun. There's no indication that he was carrying it unlawfully. I'm not sure. The police in Shreveport said we weren't aware of any prior domestic DV incidents involving him. Now, here's the thing that I find important that we need to discuss. This gentleman said in a social media post, and I'll put it up. This is his social media post. I mean, if this ain't a cry for help, you tell me what's not. I don't know what is. And again, we are not allotting this to mental health because there are plenty of people with mental health issues who don't annihilate the entire family. But let's read it. Elkins had posted about mental health issues earlier this month. Dear God, today I ask you to help me guard my mind and my emotions. He said in one post on April 9th, when depression tries to settle in, when anger rises, when anxiety or panic comes, give me the awareness to recognize what is not from you and the strength to reject it immediately in the name of Jesus. Elkins said in another post. Okay? So this to me is a cry for help. It's a public cry for help. Okay? Clearly he was dealing with a lot. Now, was it mental health? Was it some sort of diagnosed mental health? There's no indication of that. But there was another post where he talked about dark thoughts. He contacted his mother. Listen, he contacted his mother and his stepfather, stating that he was experiencing dark thoughts. He indicated that he wanted to unalive himself to these people. You saw the post earlier that talked about depression and anger and anxiety and emotional struggle. These are definitely warning signs. Prior to this incident, everybody knew about it. His mama knew about it. Stepdaddy knew about it. I'm sure his wife knew about it. Now, the authorities have not indicated a final motive, but what I'm telling you is that's enough for me. I'm telling my daughter to stay as far away from that gentleman as can. You understand? All right? This wasn't some random person with no structure. He had military experience. He had worked, he had a family. And so by the time this happened, that structure was gone. He had left the National Guard years early, and now he was dealing with a collapsing relationship, a pending court date, and clear signs of emotional distress. This wasn't something building slowly with no deadline. This was happening right then. He had a court date the very next day, today, which means whatever was going on in that relationship was about to come or become official and permanent. Separation isn't just a breakup. It means losing your household, losing your relationship, possibly losing access to your children. Now, put that next to what his family was saying about his mental health. He was talking about dark thoughts, talking about wanting to take his own life and dealing with emotional distress. At the same time, his marriage was falling apart. That's not just stress, that's everything hitting at once. And when you look at what actually happened, this wasn't random. He didn't go out into the public. He targeted his own family across 2 locations within minutes. And that tells you this was personal. Everything in his life, his relationship, his future, and his sense of control was collapsing at the same time. There may not be a single official motive, but when you line up the separation, the argument, the court date, and his mental state, that direction becomes clear. This was a domestic situation that escalated at the worst possible moment. Shout out to James Turner. Now, before we get to motivation, you have to be clear about who these children were, because we don't understand the motivation until we understand the nature of the relationship that this man had with these children. I'm going to hurt your feelings in a minute. See, as of now, some of the details, especially the exact family structure and the relationship between this individual, Mr. Shamar Elkins, and Miss Shaniqua Pug and those children, is still being clarified. Now, they keep saying that this is this man's children. They keep saying all 7 of them. That's what they say. The coroner identified 8 children. Okay? Only 2 of the 8, ages 3 and 5, had his last name, Elkins. The other had last names Pug and Snow. Now, that doesn't automatically mean that they weren't his biological children. It's my understanding that they had some kind of relationship for the past 10 years. But when people say they had a relationship for the past 10 years, that can mean off and on. That does not necessarily mean the children are for him. Okay? In this situation like this, different last names can reflect children from different relationships. Children using the mother's last name are blended family. That includes extended relatives. Now, I've looked at Shaniqua Pug's YouTube page. You can look it up. It's under her name. You can look it up for yourself. There's a couple of videos in there. I'm speculating. Okay? But bottom line is, I see children in that video. I don't know if those are his children or whomever children, but I don't see him as the person that she is with in that video. I could be wrong. I'm just trying to get to the truth. But I'm not going to allow the mass media to deliver these falsehoods. Now, what the names show. Okay? They show that this was not some simple nuclear family. This was a mixed family with multiple relationships. More likely than not all those children were his, but the news media keeps saying these are his children. You got a 3-year-old, 2 5-year-olds. Okay, let's run this back. Okay, you got a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old with the Elkins last name, another 5-year-old with the Snow last name, a 6-year-old with the Pug last name, another 6-year-old with the Snow last name, a 7-year-old with the Pug last name, a 10-year-old with the Pug last name, okay, and an 11-year-old with the Snow last name. So before you even get into the motive, you have to get one thing straight. This was not one mother and her children. Look at the ages: 3, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 10, and 11. That alone tells you something is off. That alone tells you that the media is misleading you. One woman cannot realistically have 8 children with that kind of overlap in ages, especially with multiple kids at the same age. How can one woman have multiple kids with the same, and they got 2 different last names? That means 2 different mothers gave birth to them. That biology does not work. Then look at the last name: Elkins, Pug, and Snow. That's your answer. The 2 youngest Elkinses are most likely the biological children of the couple. Then you have children with the last name Pug, and you got 3 of those, okay? They likely could be for Miss Shaniqua from a possible prior relationship. And then you got the 3rd set of children with the Snow last name. That's a different last name, different grouping, different ages that line up. Are they siblings? If you all are saying that he went from the Harrison address to the 79th and then unalived another mother, and we know that all these children were there together, are you saying that Miss Shaniqua was cool with having her baby daddy's other baby mama in her house babysitting? Is that what y'all telling me? I don't know, man. I don't know. But it don't make sense to me. But it does make sense if you're trying to use this to make this black man look like more of a monster than he already is. It's already bad enough you're unalive 2 of your own children. And now you're saying you're unalive 8? Why do we have to put extras on it, mass media? Why do we have to do that? Why can't we just tell it like it is? Because see, you undersell the story when the 60 to 80% of the white men who do these unalivements do it. But then when a black man, now you want to make it seem like he's just a monster. And it's nothing good about this story. I'm just saying. But this actual common sense evidence strongly suggests that those children, those 3 Snow children, were not Miss Shaniqua Puggs. Those were more likely her sister's children or the children from another relationship. So what you're really looking at is not a single household, it's a multi-family, relationship, sister household, multiple mothers, multiple sets of children, all under the one roof. They spent the Saturday night. Auntie came over to babysit because mama wanted to go hang out with her husband at his new spot to get away from y'all. I get it. So they were all under one roof. But it's not a story where a man turned on his own kids per se. This is a situation where multiple children from different parts of the same extended family were all in one place at the same time. That changes how you understand the structure, the relationship, and ultimately the scope of what happened. And see, this is why this is important. I want y'all to listen to me. You're not going to like me for this, and I don't care. Ladies, I want you to come in tight. Y'all have a horrible, horrible habit of thinking you can replace your baby daddy or your husband with some other man. And you got that other man all up in your household with you and your children from this other man. Y'all do that. You know I'm telling the truth. And there's research. This is not me saying this. Research shows that young children face a higher risk of fatality and abuse when they live with or are cared by an unrelated adult male. Stepdaddy. Somebody type new boyfriend in the chat room. Somebody type new husband in the chat room. Somebody type stepdaddy in the chat room. A 2005 pediatric study found that children living in a household with 1 or more unrelated adults were nearly 50 times as likely to die from an inflicted injury as children living with their 2 biological parents. Somebody type stepdaddy in the chat room. A separate study found that children in households with unrelated adults were 8 times more likely to die of maltreatment than children living with 2 biological parents. Somebody type new daddy in the chat room. Come on now. They're not talking about this. This is not convenient. The mass media doesn't want to say, oh, you mean he was a stepdaddy? Oh, darn. Well, God, okay, hold on. It's still a tragedy. It's easy to say, oh, these are all his children. Yeah, I mean, technically they were in his household, but he wasn't a biological. They knew that, apparently. How can one woman have 2 5-year-olds and 2 7-year-olds and 2 6-year-olds with different last names? What are y'all saying? I mean, unless you can show me that the woman that was staying in the wife's house at the time watching the children was the other baby mama for this man, and they were all cool with that. I mean, I'm saying, you need somebody like Messy Michonne to do this. I can't do this. You need the Crimson Cure. You need Messy Michonne. Where are y'all at? I need you to tag Messy Michonne and the Crimson Cure. And I need you to also tag Shay Chardell. I don't want to deal with this. This is not in my wheelhouse. I'm just saying, okay? I don't think women will be cool with your husband's other baby mama staying at your house while you are with your husband in his new crib that he's staying at now that y'all separated. I don't know. I don't want to get involved in that. This is a tragedy. I'm just saying. Okay? That being the case, let me get back to what I am good at. Okay? There's another study on fatal assaults. It found that rates by stepfathers were over 100 times those of the genetic father. In other words, you are not safe. Stepdaddy is 100 times more likely than biological daddy, okay, to do something bad to you. That's what it said. See? That's what I want you to understand here. So was this dude, you know, Shamar, was he stepdaddy? Was he new boyfriend? Was he new husband? If the wife was separating from him, there was a court date the next day, and some of the children were staying at another connected household, then what we facing is not a breakup. What we facing is a breakdown of his access, his role, and his place across the more than one family unit at the same time. That's what we looking at. This explains why the violence moved from one place to another. That don't make no sense. You done pew-pewed your wife in the face, and now you go over here. He was mad. He was angry with her. He wanted to punish her. You understand? Let me tell you something else about fighting with your man. Ladies, I want you to listen to me. You don't have to like me. But there was a 2003 pediatric study that recognized that there's an overlap between child unalivement and intimate partner violence. You know what that means? You know what that means? That means if you fighting with your man, there's a high likelihood that he will do something to your child. That's what that's saying. That's what it's saying. When grown-ups fight, children die. That's what it's saying. The odds of a domestic violence incident leading to a child being hurt and the person unaliving their mate and the spouse, it goes up tremendously. Remember that. When parents fight, kids die. And that fits this case more than, than anything else. I'm just saying, family. I mean, you could be mad. I don't care if you're mad. Facts are not all in. We don't know all the facts. But this is where we are. This is not necessarily just the case of a man unaliving all his children. He was stepdaddy. This was stepdaddy. I'm saying he didn't give a damn about the kids in the first place, like most stepdaddies. You can't take one man and replace him with another man and think, oh, I'll just give me another one. That's not how this works. And ladies, you all are notorious for doing that. You think you could take this dude and just put him with them other dudes? Oh, no, that ain't how that works. Can't do that. And the studies show that. Are you learning something that you didn't know before we started? Are you learning something that you didn't know before we started? I hope you do learn something. Now let's move on to another horrible and tragic case of family unalivement. And some of you all are saying, oh, well, he just low class type dude. And, that's what that is. That's what you're saying. Because many of you all are bougie. All you bougie black people that watch my page. Shout out to all you bougie, sophisticated, rich black people riding around in your BMWs and your Mercedes Benz and talking about where you're going to go for the summer. You all, that's just poor black. That's a pookie right? Shout out to he who remains. That's right. That's what you're thinking. Oh, that's just a Pookie doing what Pookies do. It ain't me, right? That's what you're thinking right now, aren't you? It could never happen to me. Come on now. Let's be honest with us. Everybody's watching. The Africans are watching. I've been roasting Africans and Caribbeans and white people and Asians and Mexicans for about a year and a half straight. And now I'm giving it to us. This is a FBA situation, right? Yes, this is us doing stuff to us. This is us unaliving our own children. Shamar Elkins was an FBA, clearly. Foundational Black American from Shreveport, Louisiana. And them children was Shreveport children. It's us. Yes. What you think Uncle D didn't have smoke for you too? Yes, I enjoy it. I enjoy delivering the pain, making you uncomfortable with yourself. We're going to talk about it. Some of you all say, oh, that's just a Pookie. That's what Pookies do, man. He just lost control. Pookie should have dealt with it different. You know, you real snooty. Black people got snooty. We're rich. We got 1.7 million millionaires. We got these black people, white folks, swear up and down, we living in the ghetto. Some of us ain't seen the ghetto in 20 years since you graduated with your degree. You ain't been back. You ain't seen mom talking about going to the cookout. How dare you think you're going to get off your first class seat and take your Birkin bag to the cookout? You would never go hang out with Leon them and Main them. You would never go there with your Gucci slippers on. Ever. It's some cousins and relatives you all never plan to see ever again. You won't even hit the like button. On Facebook, you don't even know where you don't want them to even acknowledge you. You trying to get so far away from these Pookies and Ray Rays in your own family. You know what I'm talking about. You're snooty. And so when you see a situation like what happened to Shamar Elkins and his baby, first of all, her name is Shaniqua, so I know all y'all already prejudiced against that. You snooty black people. You bougie and snooty. I know who y'all. I know you. I know my people. Snooty. And you look at, oh, hell, she got 8 baby daddies. Oh, no, I understand that she shouldn't have been dealing with them. Okay, I got one for you. How about Justin Fairfax? Do you all know who Justin Fairfax is? You know who Justin Fairfax is? He's a former lieutenant governor of Virginia. He shot and killed his estranged wife, Dr. Serena Fairfax, in their Annandale home. That's snooty. That's one of you all. One of you snooty black people. And guess when it happened? Did it happen last year? Nope. Happened on April 16th, 2026. Well, hold on a minute. You mean it just happened? Yes, it just happened. Thursday it happened. So you got Thursday and Sunday morning. Thursday and Sunday morning. He was the whole lieutenant governor of Virginia, and his wife was a doctor. She was a dentist, but a doctor nonetheless. They had 2 teenage children inside the house. One of them had to call 911. The police classified it as an unalivement, self-unalivement. What was the cause? Domestic dispute. Same thing happened in Shreveport. See, some of y'all, he was 31. This was a young man. Well, this brother was damn near 50. He was 47. So it's not an age thing. His wife, she was 49. So like the other situation, she's older than him. They've been married for 20 years. This wasn't a 2-year, like the situation between Shaniqua and Shamar down in Shreveport. These people have been married for 20 years instead of 2 years. They married in college. She didn't have any other kids. They built a life together. But see, the marriage started to break down around 2024, but I think it happened before that. And it led to a separation. They even signed a post-nuptial agreement as to who was going to pay what. But see, here's the thing. And when I say separation, I want you to be mindful. When I say separate, that means they were separate on paper. In reality, they were still living where? In the same house for 2 years. And we talking about a full-blown high conflict divorce that was filed in 2025. And here's the part people don't understand. Again, they were still living in the same house. You fighting with somebody and you living in the same house. Y'all sharing the same toilet paper rolls. And you fighting with this person. Again, they were legally separated, but still living under the same roof with their children. See, this wasn't a situation where people had space and this was conflict every day in the same house. There were cameras installed inside the home during the separation. And at one point, and I'm talking about Justin Fairfax, who was a lawyer, he accused her of assault. But then when they looked at the video footage, nothing happened. There was nothing there. And I believe the cameras are still running at the time of this unfortunate incident that happened on April 16th. Now, I want you to step back a minute. Let's understand who we're dealing with, because we want to try to understand the motivation. See, some of you all are trying to separate these men and say, oh, well, you know, it could never be me. And I'm talking to all you men, it could be you. And I'm talking to you ladies, whether you married to a Pookie or an educated lame, it could be you. Because when you strip away the titles, men are still men. Now, Justin Fairfax, he wasn't just anybody. He grew up in Washington, D.C. He went to DeMatha. He went to Duke. He went to Columbia Law. He became a federal prosecutor. And in 2017, this man got elected to be the lieutenant governor of Virginia. That's a statewide office. That's power. That's status. This is only the second man to ever hold that position. Everything is up. He is up at that point in life. And then 2019 hits. In 2019, 2 women accused him of SA. Now, this 2019, when this accusation come out, the incidents go back to 2000 and 2004. I want you to think about that. 20 years later, these 2 random women, he's won statewide office. He's popular. He's got money. He's on top of the world. And he get Me Too from something that happened 20 years ago. The first woman, she was approximately 26 to 28 years old at the time the alleged incident happened in 2004. She wasn't an undergraduate. She was a graduate level. She alleged that the incident happened in 2004 during the Democratic National Convention in Boston. This man was 24 to 25. She was 26 to 28. She accused that he forced her to give him some, she said that she was forced to treat him like you all treat ice cream cones. Okay? She said he forced her to do, the 25-year-old forced her to do that. She said he forced her to do it. And she described the encounter as non-consensual. And that came forward after he was inaugurated in 2019. Mind you, he's been married 15 years. He wasn't married at the time, I assume. Well, actually, he probably was married at the time. Married and cheating, apparently, if what she said is true. You shouldn't let a woman get nowhere near you. Fella, if you married, you don't let a woman get nowhere. A woman that ain't your wife can't come near you. Keep the door open when you're having meetings. Shout out to Eugene Steele. You don't do it. You a fool if you do. You a married man. You don't get caught up in those situations. When you go down there and get you a little massage, keep the door open. You hear me? When you have a meeting with a young, aspiring intern, keep the damn door open. Have a woman there with you. Don't do it. This man was at the top of the world. Don't do it. Don't be stupid. Nevertheless, that hit him. He denied it, as we would expect. Now, they will say what she came for during the campaign as if, okay, The man got popular. He was at the top of the game. Okay. Here they come. The next one. This young lady was somewhere between 20 and 21 years old. It happened in 2000. He was about the same age, 20, 21. They were both students at Duke University, messing around like college students do. She came out the woodwork and said he graped her, straight up all out graped her. She went public in 2019, simultaneously with him being sworn in as a lieutenant governor, right at the height of the Me Too. Okay, now again, he denied the allegations. And here's the other thing, there was no criminal charges were filed, but they came and said it. So they had to accept. Remember you all, believe her. Remember that, somebody type, believe her no matter what. Isn't that how the slogan went? Believe all women. So this man, now he apparently forced some woman to lick him like a ice cream cone. And another one, he straight up grape juiced her. That's what she said 20 years ago in college. I'm saying, now mind you, again, he denied the allegations and there was no criminal charges were filed. The impact, however, it was immediate and severe. He was forced to resign from his job. He was working at this fancy law firm in Virginia, and now he had to resign. Then, now keep in mind, he's still the lieutenant governor of the state of Virginia, but he's politically isolated. His reputation in the legal community is damaged. And at the same time, all this is happening, you got to understand what's happening to his income. See, Justin Fairfax was serving as a lieutenant governor starting in January 2018. And at the same time, he was working at this major law firm, which is where the real money was coming from. You all think that these politicians are making money. They are broke. You hear me? Well, these politicians, if it wasn't for them kickbacks and they'd be broke. All of judges, broke. The law firm income is what supported his lifestyle, not the government job. And then in February 2019, the allegations came out and he loses his law firm position, but he stays in office as a lieutenant governor all the way up through January 2022. And so that means from 2019 to 2022, he's lieutenant governor, and now he's living off his salary, which is how much you think he's making as a lieutenant governor of Virginia, this huge, rich state. How much money you think he's making? Somebody give me a guess. How much money do you think the lieutenant governor of Virginia is making? Huh? Any guesses? You lost your job at the law firm. Somebody says 72,000. Most of y'all make more than that. He was making $36,000 to $40,000 a year. That's how much he was making, according to the internets. That's a drop. So your wife, the dental, the doctor is now having to pay. He's making $40,000, $36,000 to $40,000. You got a government job. That could not have been good for the relationship, could it? He was making that Pookie money, huh, fellas? All my snooty black people. He went from being a Columbia law grad to making Pookie money. And he got this wife who's a doctor. And they live in this, snooty part of Virginia. So now by the time you get the divorce, you're not dealing with a man who's still operating at a high level. You're dealing with somebody whose income collapsed years earlier. Now all the financial pressure from that is catching up, and at the same time, everything else is falling apart. He lost his job at the law firm. His political power is gone. He lost his credibility in these high legal circles, and his inability to recover his reputation affected his career, of course, his marriage, and his finances. This man, the reports are saying that he was increasingly isolated. He struggled financially because nobody wanted to hire him. You understand what I'm saying? He struggled professionally. And the thing is, you have to listen to this. I want you to listen to me, Carol. He became fixated with clearing his name. He became fixated with clearing his name because in his mind, the source of his issue was those women who came out and reported him for those SA events. That's what he was fixated with. You can't unring a bell. It's done. What's done is done. He definitely was. He's he was fixated. Remember that. Somebody type fixated. All my good spellers type fixated. He was fixated. And see, the fact that he was trying to clear his name tells you a lot about what mattered to him. Shout out to Afro Merchant. Justin Fairfax wasn't just dealing with a divorce. He was dealing with a reputation that had already been damaged and a future that depended on fixing it. So now, at least in his mind, so now put that next to a full-blown custody fight that's not private, that's witnesses testifying in open court, that's documents, everything coming out in open court, every allegation, every financial issue, every question about his conduct, anything somebody saw him do, his conduct as a parent gets put on the record. His conduct in general gets put on the record because that's going to determine who's the parent or not. And if you're trying to rebuild your name from something that happened back in 2019 and now here we are in 2026, you trying to rebuild your name and that's the worst possible environment to be in is a mean, nasty divorce. It doesn't help you. It makes it harder, maybe even impossible. And once that information is out there, you don't get to pull it back. Now there's direct evidence that the case was being used as leverage, but when you look at that the situation, you can see how that pressure lines up. He lost his job at the law firm, lost his political power, lost his credibility in these high legal circles. And after 2019, the reports show he became more isolated and he struggled professionally. It was all bad. And now you got to walk into a custody battle and put everything under a microscope at the exact time you're trying to move forward. That's the kind of pressure that doesn't just sit there, it builds. And then there's an active divorce case in Fairfax County. And your wife has filed for divorce from you. She ain't with it no more. She filed for divorce in July 18th, 2025. A little over a year before on June 1st, 2024. But again, they were still living together. They were still living together. You got an active custody litigation. Do you know how contentious that is? You still fighting over these teenage kids. The judge already granted her custody. So the wife has already got custody. And now here we are, the judge has ordered him to move out. Oh Lord, now he's got to move out. You understand what I'm saying? You don't have any money coming in. You losing your kids. Okay? The judge has granted your wife custody. He had to move out at the end of April, so he had another 10 days. He had to get up out of there. Now, he was given joint legal custody, but she was the primary physical custodian, which means she gets possession of the house until the divorce is finalized. In fact, there's a decree that said that she is the undisputed primary caregiver. And that's the state is look, can you imagine the tensions at that house? This man unalived his wife. I'm just trying to put you in the perspective of what's going on. They've been living in the same house with all this tension for an extended period of time. He was broke. They had a good thing. Then come to find out these allegations. I'm sure she was he was catching it. She was doing what women do. Now the judge, here we are now. And the judge has ordered him to vacate the residence at the end of April and give it to the wife. And the divorce is not resolved. You got to move out. And there was also a mental health issue in 2022 involving a handgun, which concerned the judge, which is why the judge said, yeah, you got to get on up out of here. Now, what he did to his wife, unaliving her and unaliving himself, it all happened in this worsening situation, which involves a divorce, a custody battle, financial stress. The court records show he was dealing with his mental state. I'm not saying mental issues. I'm saying a mental state. He was abusing alcohol, allegedly. So this is beyond a domestic dispute. And here's another thing. They had another court date scheduled in a few days. He was supposed to appear on April 21st, which is tomorrow, and show cause at that hearing. And show cause means you need to come explain yourself. Because apparently he wasn't giving up his financial documents and he wasn't fulfilling his financial responsibilities. They had signed a post-nuptial agreement in December 2024 where he agreed to pay certain things. And he was unable to do that for the home, property, mortgage obligations, other things like that. And I think I need to explain that a little bit more. Here's what happened. So you file for divorce. Okay, you can stay here, but you need to sign this post-nup. We need to have an agreement on what you're going to pay, Justin. I can't keep paying all these bills by myself. And so he agreed to sign it. Now he went and filed some papers to try to set that aside, which lets me know he couldn't afford to pay it. And what she alleged was what Serena Fairfax, or Dr. Serena Fairfax, alleged was that Justin Fairfax failed to contribute financially during the divorce. She said he wasn't paying his share of the children's tuition. These are private school kids. All my snooty black people, he's like your kids. My kids go to public school. You private school, he wasn't paying part of the household expenses or the mortgage. Now, you need to understand what that really means living in Fairfax County in Northern Virginia. Well, all my people from Baltimore, Virginia, D.C. area. Or what do they call it, DMV? I mean, the private school is going to run you $20,000 to $40,000 per child a year. You have two of them. That's $80,000 a year for two kids. Now stack everything on top of that. You got mortgage sitting at anywhere to $4,000 to $7,000 a month. That's that. Look, you tack on insurance and taxes. That's another $1,000. What about utilities? That's at least $2,000 plus transportation and food. You add another few thousand. And if you break the tuition down, that's anywhere from $3,000 to $6,500. So when you step back and look at the full picture, this household is burning anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 every month. Realistically, it's close to between $12,000 to $18,000 just to stay afloat. That's barely making it. On top of that, Justin Fairfax, former lieutenant governor, Columbia graduate, had 2 default judgments against him for credit cards totaling $30,000, which means he was floating all his debt on credit card. This man was broke. That's not a small problem. That's a sign that things were already slipping before the divorce even hit full speed. This man was the former lieutenant governor of Virginia. And we hadn't even got to trial yet. He hadn't even started paying child support yet. How much you think it costs to fight a case like this? It's not a simple divorce. This is a full trial level fight. You got a custody trial. We talking about money, everything, attorney's fees, easy. Anywhere from 50 to 150,000 per side. She got hers. This is how much money this man spent. So now you're looking at the full financial picture. If you got a high monthly expense, existing debt, ongoing legal fees, in a situation where your income is already taking a hit from the collapse of your political legal career, money is going out from every direction, and there's no clear sign that it's coming back anytime soon. And at that point, it's not just pressure, it's financial. It's a financial squeeze from every side. Even if everything goes perfectly, or best, you still walking away from this situation with significant losses. If that doesn't go, if that doesn't go your way, it's not just about losing money. It's about losing stability, losing your house, losing your ability to recover financially in any reasonable amount of time. You're not gonna come from up under this. Look, we know this divorce was about money and who was gonna control the house. Now, there's no official motive. None has been announced beyond what law enforcement is saying. This was a domestic dispute during a contentious divorce. But when you actually look at what was going on, you can see the pressure building. So by February 2026, this case had already turned into a fight. Justin Fairfax is filing a demurrer, trying to get the case dismissed, getting the whole thing shut down. Okay? On the other side, you got his wife filing for motions for sanctions because he's not cooperating and turning over his paperwork like he's supposed to, not following the rules. And the judge said, you need to come back in here, Justin, and talk to me. The custody trial is getting stretched to 2 days. You got to pay lawyers. You're going to have a trial on the finances. It's getting stretched to 3 days. You got to pay the lawyers. And the court is talking contempt, which means you've already been accused of not following the judge's orders. And the thing judges hate the most is when you don't follow their orders. And then April hits and everything gets tight. April 10th, 2026, the court issues another show cause order and saying, you need to come in here and explain yourself, Justin. You should know how to behave yourself. You're a lawyer, you're an officer of the court. You are the former lieutenant governor of this state. Bring your butt up in here. He was looking at sanctions and other consequences. It was getting close. And this case was not one that could be settled. It's going to trial. So all this mess is going to be public. Now think about where this could go. If he gets hit with a contempt charge, that's one problem. But down the road, if you're not paying what the court says you owe, whether that's support, tuition, or anything tied to those kids, the system doesn't just sit there. You fall behind. They suspend your driver's license. Where all my truck drivers at? They suspend your drivers. They suspend your professional licenses. You can't move the same. You can't work the same. You fall further and further behind. It doesn't stop there. You can't work. You can't go nowhere. Now you're in a situation where you already struggling to make money, and the system can now take away your ability to earn money at all, at least in the way you normally do. That's the reality of a lot of men right now, looking at this page. And you get behind, and instead of getting easier to catch up, it gets harder. Everything stacks on top of everything else. And even if that hadn't fully happened, that's the direction this was going. That's what this man's future was looking like. He was on high heights, one of the most powerful men in the state. And now he's looking at possibly going to jail. Getting served, and then he gets served with some more paperwork. So let's look at what this man's real life looked like. The next hearing is going to cost more attorney's fees. There's a real possibility he's going to get hit with contempt. And if that goes left, you talking about penalties along with going to jail, depending on what the court thinks. So your life is in another person's hand. Now imagine that, going from lieutenant governor to standing in the court trying to explain why you didn't follow the court orders and can't afford to help pay for your children and your house and your family and your wife. Now let's go back a little further. Are y'all learning something? Am I helping you understand what's going on? I'm trying to put you in the mind of what's happening to these men. Can I help you? Are you learning something? Let's go a little deeper. Let's go. There's no hiding from this. Whatever reputation this man thought he might still be able to salvage, that's on the line now. And once that comes out, you don't get to take it back. And at the same time, the court has already started reshaping the household. There are custody decisions in place. There's a move out requirement coming. And the key part is they're still living in the same house with all this mess going on between them. All this happened. You still living in the house? Oh, hell no. So now you got a situation where you facing losing custody of your children, losing your family, losing your house, losing your career. You're already in debt. You're already dealing with the fallout from the career. Everything's stacking up against you at once. You may not be on the street, but if you can't hold on to the house, where you going? You're going to be in somebody else's space. You're going to be sleeping on the couch trying to figure it out. That's a fall. And then you get to April 16th, 2026, last Thursday. That's the day. That's the day it hit the critical point. Exhibit lists get filed, both sides ready to go to court. That means everything is ready. Evidence is organized. The case is prepared for trial. And the court orders that anything involving the children gets sealed. This is in the actual records, which tells you the kind of very sensitive material that's being discussed. This isn't surface level anymore. This is deep into parenting. It's in the conduct. It's in the kids' lives. And at that exact moment, everything is coming together all at once. He got a court date on April 21st. He's dealing with potential contempt. He's in custody fight that could reduce his role in his children's life. He's in a financial fight over assets, debts, agreement, and all of it is happening while he's still in the same house with the person that he's fighting with in court. There's no break. There's no distance. There's no reset. This isn't something happening on paper anymore. This is happening in real time inside his house. And at the end of the day, you got no money coming in, all the money going out. And you probably gonna lose anyway, no matter how much you put up. Your reputation is in shambles. Your situation is getting worse. And everything that's coming next is going to be public and permanent. And you drunk. Ain't no easy way out of this. Nevertheless, we know what happened on April 16th. And you know what the lawyers did on April 18th? They filed some documents entitled Suggestion of Death, which lets the court know that the people who were litigating this case are no longer with us. They have gone on to their ancestors. Next case. That's it. That's how that divorce ended. You can look at the internet. You see what he did to his wife. He unalived her and himself. Now, does this help put things in perspective for you all? Are you understand? I want you ladies especially. Look, I've called these names a couple times. Crimson Cure, Shay Chardre, Messy Michonne. I want you all, because they don't want to hear what I have to say. This is too harsh for most people. They don't want to hear this. Me talking about this, I'm not making excuses. Have you heard me make any excuse for anybody? Not at all. I'm just telling you. This is what was going on. Anything you thinking about is what you determine in your own mind after listening to what I said and putting this all in context and giving you these facts. Now, that being the case, when you step back and look at both of these situations, I'm talking about the one that happened in Shreveport between Shamar Elkins and Justin Fairfax, two different men from two different places, two different lifestyles. What stands out is not how different these men were, but how similar the pressure points were that they were dealing with. On the surface, they come from completely different worlds. One man appears to have had limited structure, limited formal success, and was navigating a complicated multifamily household. And the other man did everything right, didn't he? Justin Fairfax went to the right schools. He had the right education. He married the right woman. He looked great on paper, right? At least by society's standards, elite education, professional success, political power, long-term marriage to his college partner. Two completely different paths from Shamar Elkins. Two completely different lives. And yet, they both ended up in the same place. No pun intended. Both men were going through a breakdown of their primary relationship. Both were facing the reality of separation and what comes with it. Loss of control over your household, uncertainty about access to your children, financial pressure, and the public or private unraveling of their identity as husband and father. And in both cases, this wasn't just about a relationship ending. It was about the collapse of structure. The life they had built or believed they had was being dismantled in real time, and neither situation offered a clean, immediate resolution. That's the common thread. Doesn't matter whether a man comes from the bottom or the top. When you combine relationship breakdown, financial strain, loss of control, emotional instability, you create a very dangerous environment. Divorce, especially a contentious divorce, it's not just paperwork. It's a process that can stretch out for months and years. Shout out to Mark the freelancer. It can drain resources. It can limit access. It can create a feeling, real or perceived, that everything is slipping away at once. And for some men, a lot of men, particularly those who tie their identity to their title as father and family or status, that kind of collapse can be absolute. Now, to be clear, none of that justifies what happened in either one of these situations. And I don't want any of you all to think that that's what I'm trying to do. Nope. The truth is, most men go through divorce, custody battles, financial loss, and emotional stress without ever becoming violent. That distinction matters. But what these cases show is how certain combinations of pressure, relationship, and conflict, impending legal consequences, and financial strain and emotional distress can intersect at the same time and create a breaking point, and a lot of folk who are not equipped to management. What did I say earlier? Some men aren't built to play the game. So what you're really looking at here is not a story about race or even about class. It's a story about how men respond under extreme pressure. One man had fewer resources, the other man had every advantage life can throw you, but in that moment when everything was collapsing at once, both of them failed to manage it. And the result was catastrophic. And that's the uncomfortable reality. Let's go a little deeper. Y'all ready to learn something? Are you ready to learn something? All you all looking at this broadcast on rebroadcast or whatever, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you all have not taken the opportunity to subscribe to the channel at this point, boo-hoo on you. Subscribe to the channel. I know you're learning something. You're still here. Make sure you take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel. Hit the #1 button. If you've subscribed already, subscribe again. I don't believe you. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. I'm trying to get to where I'm trying to get to in these numbers. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Don't y'all want to see me get to be 100,000? Don't y'all want to see a nice shiny plaque up on the wall? This is a very uncomfortable conversation that we have. You see how I'm threading the needle with this? When have y'all ever heard me call in reinforce? I need the Crimson Cure in the front of the room. Messi Michon, I need you to come on out here. Shay Chardre, I need y'all to help me out. I'm going to lose subscribers to this. Okay? Because people don't like what I'm saying. I wouldn't like it either. It's uncomfortable. But either way, let's talk about a concept. Somebody type protector to predator. Somebody type protector to predator. See, that's what we're really looking at here. A shift from provider to predator or protector to predator. These are not men operating completely outside of society. One served in the military and put in 7 years of structured service. He followed orders. He lived within the system that required discipline and accountability. The other rose to one of the highest political positions in the state. Elite education, professional success, access to resources that most people never had, black or white. These were not men who lacked exposure to structure. Stop letting them blow these guys off as if they were just evil or crazy. That ain't what happened here. They worked, they had families, they had defined roles within society. They were, by all outward appearances, providers. And that matters because it tells you that what happened here is not limited to one type of man from one background or on one level of success. It could happen to any of y'all. All you snooty black people, it could happen to you. All you snooty black men and all you Pookie and Ray Rays, you're in the same group. But to understand the shift, you have to understand what a man is expected to provide. Traditionally, as husbands are seen to be, a man is a provider and a protector. He builds, he earns, he stabilizes the household, he carries the burden of responsibility so others don't have to, namely his wife or children. And that role is not just something he does, it becomes his identity. His value, both to himself and to others, is tied to his ability to provide and to maintain control over his environment, his household, his family structure. So when the role starts to break down, it's not just a bad situation. It's an identity crisis unfolding in real time. In both of these cases, that's exactly what was happening. Both men were going through relationship breakdowns at the same time. Both were dealing with separation, which brings with it loss of control over the household, uncertainty about the access to the children. Will I see my kids again? Increasing legal and financial pressure. In one situation, you got this stepdaddy who's taking on all these children, playing a role, multiple relationships, already fragile. On the other hand, you got a long-term marriage, high conflict divorce, financial strain, tied to collapse in the economy, custody disputes, court orders, and you can be absolutely certain he was kicking himself in the butt for what happened, whether it happened or not, being anywhere near those women, for them to be close enough to lay allegations on you without you being able to dispute them irrefutably. It was a problem in the relationship. You understand? Different circumstances, but the same underlying pressure. Everything that defined their role as a man was being dismantled at the same time. That's it. Now, I don't use the word evil to explain this because the word oversimplifies what we're looking at and it shuts down the real understanding. It's easy to label something as evil and move on. It's much harder to ask what actually caused the shift, even from a religious standpoint. The idea that someone is immediately in some final state of judgment doesn't even align with these Christian spiritual interpretations that most of you all have that never actually read the Bible. But beyond that, it does not help us in the here and now understand these people, these men's behavior. What we're seeing here is something deeper and more uncomfortable. Yes, it's more uncomfortable than placing label evil on these people. It's the reality that under enough pressure, any man can change. Not slowly, not over years, but rapidly. You can snap just like that. And see, this is where the dual nature of masculinity comes into play. See, a lot of you folk oversimplify men. You all they want to do is watch football and drink beer. You don't know these men. On one side, you got a man that builds and protects and sacrifices and provides, and he creates order out of chaos. He stabilizes the family. He carries the weight so others don't have to. But on the other side, it's dark over there. That same drive for control and protection and provision can flip when it gets distorted under pressure. And control becomes domination. Protection becomes desperation. And provision turns into destruction. That same trait that once made him a provider, it doesn't disappear. It turns in the opposite direction. And women, you have your own version as well. On the light side of femininity, if you will, a woman nurtures, she supports, she builds emotionally. She creates stability through care and connection. And then there's the other side. There's the dark side. And that same influence can become manipulation. It can become control. It can become emotional destabilization and destruction. Many of you men and women see that all the time. You might not label it, but that's what it is. How can a person that loves me so much, they just flip the script and just be acting like you do? It's crazy. Even labeling women crazy, that's oversimplification. This is about understanding the nature of both men and women, and that they have the capacity to create and to destroy. The difference here is how deeply a man's identity is tied to his role as provider and protector. When the role collapses, it doesn't just affect his situation, it affects his sense of self. He ain't got nothing to lose. You taking his money, his children, his identity, he ain't got nothing to lose. He don't give a damn no more. And some men ain't built to play like that. There's no relief. There's no quick resolution. There's no clear path forward. Shout out to James Turner. I know you don't like this conversation. I hope y'all angry with me, but I hope it makes you think. These men are losing their money, their time, their energy, their identity. Getting limited access to the people that they sacrifice the most for, namely their children. They're not built for this. Not this generation. Nope. No. And then they crash out. They crash out. They don't rebuild, they don't adjust, they don't accept the process and play the long game. Instead, they collapse under the weight of everything hitting at once. Shout out to James Turner. Shout out to Patricia OJ2HQ. And see, here's the thing. When they crash out, they don't just take themselves out. They take everything around with them. That's the shift. That's what it means to go from provider to predator. Not that they were always predators, but that under extreme pressure, those same traits that once made them providers, they become destructive. And if we're being honest, that's the part people don't want to face, because it means this isn't about one man or two men in this case. It's not about a race of men. It's not about a class or wealth status or education. It's about the reality that under enough pressure, the line between building and destroying becomes thinner and thinner. And most men, most people in general, are uncomfortable admitting that. If we actually want to prevent this from happening again, we have to start there. Not with labels, not with outrage, not with fake outrage. This is a tragedy. This is hard. We know that. But we need to have some real understanding of what happens when identity, control, and stability all collapse at the same time. Look, man, do y'all want me to tell you what I think the solution is, or you want to run and hide? You let me know. If you want me to tell you what the solution is, or you want me to run and hide? See, the good thing about me is I'm seasoned. Hallelujah. Somebody type seasoned. I am seasoned. You could tell by these spots on my face and this gray hair. I'm seasoned. I know what I'm talking about. You can't get this everywhere. I'm weathered. Hallelujah. I am weathered. I'm speaking from experience, and I'm not talking about living through. I know what I'm talking. I know what's happening. I know exactly what's going on. Exactly. Now, do you all want real solutions? I'll tell you, but you don't want to hear it. I'm Uncle D. I'm going to put my Uncle D hat on, and I'm going to talk to you. Sit back with my jelly jar full of wisdom. Y'all okay? They said, yeah. Okay, cool. See, it's not one thing. It's layers. You're dealing with a pattern that shows up when pressure, identity loss, and isolation all collide. So the answer has to interrupt that pattern before man hits that breaking point. You understand what I'm saying? It's a confluence of things for my people who like big words. Confluence. It's a coming together. Let's try to break it down like this. You have to change how men are prepared for the game. Remember I said men aren't built to play the game? You have to change how they play this game. You got to put it on easy mode for them. You got to tell them ahead of time. First, you have to change how men look. Right now, a lot of men go into relationships, whether it's just boyfriend, girlfriend, or marriage, and fatherhood, with no real understanding of what divorce custody is, or the financial obligations actually look like, especially if things fall apart. Many of these men didn't even have fathers. Let's just be honest. Many of them were raised by women all across the races. So when they get hit, when they fall apart, that's a setup for shock. Men need early, honest education, not just about how to build a family, but how to survive if the family structures break down. Did you all know that the majority of divorces are filed by women? Ladies, did you know that the majority of divorces are initiated by women, and the higher your education, the more likely you are to initiate the divorce? Did you know that, ladies? Y'all didn't know that, did you? You think it's a bunch of men leaving the women. Actually, on paper, it's a bunch of women leaving the men. You don't have to like what I'm saying. Somebody call Shay Chardre. I'm going to lose all my followers. Somebody call the Crimson Cure. They going to leave. I'm not trying to make you mad. I'm just telling you what the facts are. So we need to prepare men for that if they decide to get married. If you decide to have a baby by a woman, prepare that you're going to be on child support. You got to give up all your financial information, and they're going to go ahead and seize your money every 2 weeks. That 25%. Just saying. It is what it is, baby. So let's prepare him for it. And see, that part of the education has to be real. It can't be romantic. Marriage is not just about love. It's a business. It's a business relationship. Marriage is a legal contract with financial and custodial and long-term consequences. And if you don't establish the rules of how the partnership is going to operate from the onset, then the government is going to step in and do it for you. And that's what family court is. And that's what divorce court is. So the first real question a man has to ask himself is not just, am I ready to get married? But am I prepared to deal with the reality that this marriage could end? And more importantly, am I built to handle what comes with that? Because see, not every man is. You're not tough enough, fellas. You can't tough your way out of that. It's going to pull on your heartstrings. It's going to mess with your mind. Am I going to have to leave this house? What's going to happen? Well, how am I going to live? You have to be honest about the situation you're stepping into, fellas. You're dealing with a woman who has multiple, and I'm talking about the first cat. Somebody type stepdaddy. All you fellas out there dating single mothers, somebody, all y'all type stepdaddy in the chat room. See, they're not saying that. Shamar Elkins was stepdaddy. You got 8 children, 7 children with 3 different last names. Only 2 of them have your last name. And most of these children got the same age. They the same age with different last names. Them ain't all your kids. How could they be? So if you're dealing with a woman with multiple children, then you have multiple financial obligations. And you have a very complex family structure because, see, not only are you dealing with that child from that other relationship, but you're dealing with his daddy, you're dealing with his in-laws or her in-laws. So you're not just dealing with the woman, you're dealing with all these different folk. You understand? So you got multiple relationships going on. And are you truly prepared for that role, fellas? Look, if you want to date a woman who has children, go right on ahead, but are you prepared to be stepdaddy? Are you prepared to be new daddy? Did you hear what the statistics said? How y'all stepdaddies and new boyfriends be taking it out on the children when you get mad at the woman. Did you hear that stat from earlier? Children are more likely to be unalived and hurt by new daddy than real daddy. So this is not a small responsibility. It's not just about money. See, that comes with emotional investment and financial exposure and a level of complexity that a lot of men underestimate. You can't tough your way through that, fellas. And if you're not built for that, you shouldn't be trying to step up and step into a relationship that you're not ready for. Thinking love alone will carry you through. It won't. You're gonna end up in jail. And at the same time, if you're a man who is rising, whether it's in politics or sports or business or any field where your status is increasing, and you also have to be honest about what that attracts. Some women are not just marrying you because of your good looks and charm, like Uncle D. Okay? I'm just be honest with you. They not just marrying you because you got this wonderful personality. They marry you for your position and your lifestyle and the opportunity that comes with you. Did you know that? Oh my God. They marry you for what you bring to the table. And if that position changes, if you lose that, that position on the team in the NBA, if you get fired from your Wall Street job and you no longer have the C-suite, if your income changes, if your status drops, that can put real stress on that relationship. That's not emotional, that's practical. And you have to be prepared for the possibility that that relationship probably won't survive that shift, because, you know, you may not have been built, it's probably not built on a foundation that it could withstand. And let me promise you, game alone ain't gonna do it. She married you for a reason. She had expectations, and now those expectations have been, she's been disappointed. So she's gonna cut her losses and move on. Shout out to Eugene Steele. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to tell you. That's not what she bargained for. Now, people will say, oh, well, we could just get a prenup. Yes, you get a prenup. That can help. Trust accounts can help. Okay? They can set expectations. They can create structure. They can give you leverage in the event of the divorce. But let's be honest, prenups are not ironclad. And more importantly, they don't protect you from the emotional reality of separation. They may protect some of your assets, but they don't stop the anxiety from the breakup or the breakdown. They don't stop the loss of daily access to your children because you can't prenup away custody. They don't stop the stress, the conflict, or the inconvenience of having your entire life reshaped, because no matter how you structure it, if the relationship ends, it's going to be painful. It's going to be inconvenient. It's going to disrupt your life in ways you cannot fully predict. Shout out to Ashton Mulkey, 6180. So preparing for the game means preparing for all of it, the good and the bad, the building and the breakdown. It means understanding that marriage is not just a romantic decision, it's a strategic one. And if a man has not prepared for both sides of that reality, if he's not prepared to build and also prepared to lose, then he's walking into a situation that can break him. And that's where the problem starts. Number two, that was number one. Number two, you got to separate your identity from your position. I tell my old lady all the time, I'm a man no matter what, whether I pay bills or not. I'm a man no matter what. I'm a man. I know who I am. I like who I am, and I'm not going to change. Have you all bought my books, Rules to Live By? That's one of my rules to live by. For you all who don't know, Uncle D authored some books many years ago. You can get them on Amazon. Just look at that. Rules to Live By. Dennis Spurling. I'll tell you how to do how divorce goes and how to do it. I got some rules in there for you. I know who I am. I like who I am, and I'm not going to change. My identity is ironclad. But see, that happens when you become half a century old. Yeah. Happy belated birthday to me. Praise God. You understand? See, the problem in both of these cases with these two gentlemen is that when the role collapsed, husband, provider, head of household, the man collapsed with it. And if you don't believe they collapsed, look at the news reports. They clearly collapsed. Anytime you crash out like that, you have collapsed. You have collapsed. If a man believes I'm only valuable if I have my family and my house, my control, then losing those things feels like losing his entire existence. And that is dangerous. Men have to be taught, boys have to be taught and constantly reminded that they are still men. They're still valuable. They're still human beings with intrinsic value, even when they lose their position, money, or access. It's not about what you can produce. It's about your mere existence. And see, this shift alone reduces that desperation that these men had. In this regard, you got to separate your identity. You're a man, not because of what you can do or what you can provide, but because you're a human being. And nobody can take your manhood away from you. Nobody can take your humanity away from you. Your title doesn't define you. When you pass away, nobody's going to care about your title. That's ego. That's pride. That's something you carry while you're here. But if it's not who you are at your core, it's just not. Now, don't misunderstand. You should fight for your children. You should fight to try to preserve what you can in your, if you've earned it and you made money during your marriage, you should fight. And you should fight to be, but more importantly, you should fight to be in your children's lives. That's your responsibility. You should never not fight for your children and get as much time with them as you can while they're young. But why would you fight to stay with someone who does not want to be with you? If a woman is divorcing you or you're divorcing her, then the relationship is no longer your identity. And and the truth is, it probably never was your identity to begin with. It was something you attached yourself to. It was something you built around yourself. But it was never the foundation of who you are as a man. And the same thing applies to status. If your identity changes, if you go from being a lawyer, a public figure, a lieutenant governor, or anything else, and now you're no longer that, then yes, things are going to change. Your environment is going to change. Your access is going to change. The way people treat you is probably going to change. But that does not stop you from being a man. That doesn't erase who you are. It just means you have to restart. And that's the part a lot of men are not prepared for, the restart. Because restarting requires humility. It requires discipline. It requires letting go of ego and accepting what you had is gone. It's gone now. And now you have to rebuild again. But if a man can understand that his identity is not tied to his position, then losing that position doesn't destroy him. It forces him to adjust. And that's the difference between a man who rebuilds and a man who crashes out. Okay? Now, another thing, pressure release system for men. This is going to be a little spicy. I want you all to cover your ears if you don't like it, because I'm going to tell y'all some stories, okay? Fellas, you need a pressure release system that actually works, which means something that you actually like to do, okay? Right now, most men deal with stress and isolation, or you drink, or you do something deleterious to yourself. You don't talk, you don't process, and by the time you do, it's too late. Okay? There needs to be normalized, non-stigmatized outlet, whether that's with peer groups like you do here. I'm kind of like a mentor to a lot of people, and that's cool. This gives them a chance to hear me say the things that they're thinking, and it makes them feel good. Okay? You need somewhere where you can deal with the anger and the loss and the frustration without building into something explosive. Not therapy in the abstract, but real accessible support that men will actually use. Something practical, something that meets men where they are. Okay? Now here comes the part people aren't going to like. Some men are going to tell you when you're going through a divorce, you need to sit there and suffer and act like your life is over and just wallow in it. Like old Sal in some slop. I think that's the worst advice you could give a man. That mindset keeps you stuck, it keeps you depressed, and it pushes the man closer to breaking. My position is the exact opposite. Okay, you need to treat the moment that you file for divorce like I did, or your wife files for divorce, like you've just been given your freedom papers. You hear me? Like you about to leave Alabama on the next train, headed north. You're no longer tied to that situation when someone doesn't want you. You're no longer waking up every day dealing with conflict and tension and rejection in your home. Yes, you may have to pay some child support. Yes, you may lose a significant portion of what you've earned, but at the same time, you're no longer in the space where you're unwanted, and that matters. So instead of collapsing, okay, and going to the bar in the middle of the day and drinking yourself into a hole and catching cases and DUIs like both of these dudes did, losing your ability to work, you need to redirect that energy. You need to build a new routine. You need to create a new environment. You need to invite people into your life and bring some level of peace and enjoyment that you like. Do things that break the cycle of stress. Try new experiences. Travel. Travel if you can. Change your surroundings. Give yourself something to look forward to so that your mind isn't stuck replaying what you lost. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, fellas, do what you like to do. Me, I went to church because I love Jesus. Of course, I went to church. But I know people who, upon learning that their divorce was initiated, they went straight to the strip club and Tuesday. They got Wing Tuesday over there. Fried chicken, like, wow, nobody's calling me and texting. Not me. I would never, after filing for divorce, go to the strip club for fried chicken wing Tuesday. I would never do that. I would never fly me and some fine young ladies to Miami and hang out. I would never do that. I would never, ever, ever do that. I would never start having brunches at my house on random Sunday mornings and have 100 bottles of champagne and pancakes and waffles and fried chicken and a live band and a DJ and just invite a bunch of random people over to my sacred home. I would never do that, ever do that. And then post it all on Facebook for everybody to see. I would never do that. I was with Jesus. I went to Sunday school, at least once. Probably, maybe not. I would never go buy a Bentley. How dare you? A Bentley, a two-seater, a two-door. You have two children at the time. Not me though. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it. I would never get more stamps in my passport from the time I got divorced until the time I got remarried than the stamps that they have in them food stamps that my cousin used to get and sell to my grandma. I would never do that. I would never become an original passport bro. I would never do that. I was with Jesus praying. Okay. However, if I did, hypothetically, I think that would be a good thing. Because see, I wouldn't have been stuck around here. Not me. I wouldn't be stuck around wherever I was, wallowing and being sad. Poor me, woe is me. I wouldn't be that. I'll be like, man, fuck them kids. Excuse my language. Fuck them. I'm going to Columbia. Shit, man, having a good time, boy. What are you talking about? What Cartagena? How you spell that? How you get that on here? I would never do that. Not me. I would never go to Rio and, my poor, bless her heart, ex-wife is stuck somewhere, doing whatever she doing, and I'm down in Rio on the beach getting black as hell. The sun is hot in Rio. I don't know why the sun is so hot in Rio, but I get about 6 shades darker in Rio. And there was a person out there giving tattoos out, and I was like, well, I want one of those tattoos too. It was a little fake tattoo. I got a little Texas Longhorn. Well, not me, because I wouldn't do it, but somebody that looked like me and my height and my build got a Texas tattoo just to get one, because I ain't never had a tattoo. I wouldn't do it, okay? Never me. I was with the Lord. Hallelujah. But bottom line is, fellas, have you a good time. Do whatever you need to do to blow off steam, survive it. I just want you to survive it, okay? Because then life start looking a little better. I'm not saying go out there and start bungee jumping and doing crazy stuff, but you can have you some good fun and blow off some steam and it keeps you motivated. You can look forward to that instead of the next court date. You look forward to your next trip or your next party at your house or your next hanging out with your friends instead of looking forward to your next child support payment. You just doing time, okay? Okay, and then you start seeing things different because, see, the reality is if someone doesn't want to maintain a relationship with you, whether that's your former wife, girlfriend, or even at times some strained relationship with your children. Again, fuck them kids. You don't like me? Go on with your mama then. Now, my kids, I'm just saying, hell, bye. See you later. I'll get me some new kids. The second group of kids usually look better than the first group of kids anyway. Y'all know the truth. Them first group of kids are ugly. You know that. That's what you could get when you coming out of college. But now you 40, 50 years old. The second group are handsome, good look. That's a beautiful child. You know, I'm just keeping it 100, which is true, right? More money, better looking women. That's kind of how I go. But anyway, bottom line is you can position yourself for the future, and you can remain available. You can stay consistent, but you can't destroy yourself trying to hold on to something that is actively slipping away. And the focus in that critical moment has to shift back to you and your stability and your mental state and your ability to keep moving as opposed to crashing out. What would y'all advice would you have me give these dudes? For you all who are mad at me for telling them, well, hell, go have a good goddamn time. But who's mad at me for saying that as opposed to, sit there and sulk and crash out? What would y'all have me to do? Look, I know what I'm saying sounds unorthodox. I know it sounds harsh, it's crass to some people, but the goal here is not to sound good. It's to keep a man from going from pressure to collapse. It's to get him from point A to point B without falling into depression and without spiraling, without crashing out and hurting himself or others. If reframing that situation as a form of liberation helps him move forward instead of breaking down, then that's a tool that works. Because clearly the alternative, silence, isolation, and suffering in silence, that's not working. And at the end of the day, there's a reason people say divorce is expensive, because it costs for something that you get out of it, okay? But it also gives you the opportunity to rebuild. Now, here's some realistic navigation of legal financial process. I hope you all are learning something. This is the fourth solution. Okay, there has to be realistic navigation of the legal and financial process. Divorce and custody battle become dangerous when they feel endless and unwinnable. Get yourself a good family law lawyer, preferably one that specializes in family law. If your lawyer says he specializes in criminal, personal injury, and family, don't get that lawyer. You don't get that lawyer. Get you one that says family law. If you get a lawyer that does anything other than family law, you're not gonna like the outcome. Get you a lawyer that does 100% family law. Now, he may do wills and testaments. Get you a lawyer that does 100% family law, preferably one that's board certified. I'm giving you some advice. It's free advice. If your family law lawyer is not board certified, it's not gonna be good. Now, you probably pay a little bit more, but you're gonna like the outcome better. Okay, that's my legal advice. Is the extent of it. Okay. Now, the thing is, the longer the fight drags on, with no resolution, the higher the pressure and the higher the risk of collapse. Now, the uncomfortable truth is there's really no clean way around a marriage when it's time for divorce. You're already in it. The system moves at its own pace. It costs what it costs. It takes the same time it takes. So the best move isn't trying to fix it in the middle of the storm. The best move is preparing before you ever step into it. That's where the planning comes in. I tell men all the time, don't rush into marriage before you're established. There's no reason. I say wait until you're 30 or 40. By that point, you have time to build something in your life. You have some separate property. You know who you are. You know what you've accomplished on your own. You've had time to understand your finances and your habits and your boundaries. And more importantly, you've had time to learn yourself, because that's the biggest mistake men make. Not that they don't know women, it's that they don't know themselves. They don't know what they're willing to tolerate, what they're not willing to tolerate, what kind of lifestyle they actually want, or what kind of partner they can realistically deal with in the long term. Experience matters. But by the time you're more seasoned, like Uncle D, a little salt, a little pepper, a little speckle on my face, You dealt with enough relationships and enough ups and downs and trauma to recognize the patterns. You know, if you keep your head down and keep pushing forward, pretty much I'm gonna get through it. I might have some scrapes and scars, but I'm gonna get through this thing, man. Shit. Excuse my language. You know what I mean? You know what type of woman you're willing to deal with and what type you're not. You're more selective. Just because you look good on paper with this woman don't mean y'all need to be together. You just look good. Y'all just happen to be in the same college together. You just happen to live in the same neighborhood. So you're more selective. You're not just moving off emotion. You're making decisions with information. And yes, tools like prenuptial agreements can help. They can set expectations and define financial boundaries and give you some leverage if things go left. But let's be clear, prenups are not bulletproof. As I said earlier, they don't eliminate the process. They just help structure it. Because at the end of the day, there's no guarantees you can plan. You can prepare, you can make better decisions, but you cannot completely eliminate the risk. What you can do is reduce your exposure and reduce the shock if things fall apart. And that matters. Because a man who understands the process going in, even if it's difficult, is far less likely to feel blindsided or trapped and desperate when things don't go his way. And that alone can be the difference between managing the situation and completely losing control. Now look here. Y'all still with me? Fellas, you got to understand something that many of you all didn't get, because many of you didn't have daddies. You have to understand discipline under loss. Boys need to be taught discipline under loss. This is the part most people avoid. Most men who go through divorce, they don't crash out. They take the hit. They keep on going. Discipline under loss. That mindset has been modeled and taught. You can lose money, lose time, even lose access temporarily to your children and still rebuild. That's the difference between a man who survives the process and a man who self-destructs or crashes out. The ability to endure loss without reacting emotionally is a learned skill, and it takes time and heartache. It doesn't come naturally to everybody, and it has to be developed over time through experience and guidance and accountability. But you got to stay in the fight. Some men don't know how to do that. They didn't have that daddy in the corner saying, come on, son, you got it. You can handle this. They don't have that. Many of them don't even have that support structure. But see, here's an exception, because I'm just saying, and this is the part people don't want to admit. Some men aren't built to play that game. They're not prepared to play that game. Some men can't take that level of loss. Some men aren't going to sit there and absorb it and move on. And I'm not excusing anything. That's not me telling, that's just me telling you the reality of human nature. That's what we saw happening today or yesterday with Shamar Elkins, and a few days ago with former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. They're not built for it. You can expect people to behave a certain way if you want to. You would expect that a former lieutenant governor, attorney, he would act civilized, right? You could expect a father, a military man, someone with structure and discipline to handle the pressure and be in a controlled way, right? That's what you expect. We all expect that. But the truth is, you don't know. Because at the end of the day, you're still dealing with a human being, and human beings break. And they break differently under different pressures at different times. So you never know. So what does that mean? It means we need to be more aware of how we treat each other. Ladies, we need to be more aware of how we treat our men, especially in high pressure situations like divorce and custody battles. Where's the Crimson Cure? Have y'all tagged her to come in here? I need her and Shay Chardre and Messi Bashar. Let me say this again. Ladies, and I know you don't want to hear from me. You probably think I'm biased. Oh, he's a man. It means we need to be more aware of how we treat our men especially in pressure situations like divorce and custody battles. Now, I'm not excusing anything those men did, but I'm just saying we need to be more aware of how we treat them in these pressure situations. It also means that the courts, judges, all you judges, I know there's a lot of young people who like to watch me and they want to be lawyers, and some of you will end up being judges. It means you. You understand? It means you. It means the courts, the lawyers, the judges, and even the individuals involved, the parties who are litigating, need to understand that just because the system expects a person to comply and to absorb and to endure, that does not mean they're capable of doing that without consequences. Some men aren't built to play the game. You don't know where another person's limits are. You don't know how close they are to breaking. And when the pressure keeps building, and financial pressure and emotional pressure and legal pressure without any real relief is coming, you're increasing the risk. And we've seen that outcome, haven't we? Doesn't matter whether a man is at the height of political success or living in modest, impoverished conditions somewhere in this country. It can be any man. Different lives, same human story. When pushed far enough under the right or wrong conditions, some men will collapse because some men aren't built to play the game. So the responsibility here isn't just on one person, it's on the system and the people within it not to unnecessarily escalate conflict, and not to weaponize pressure, and not to assume that every person can handle unlimited stress without consequences. Some men aren't built to play the game. You see, when the line gets crossed is what happened on the 19th and the 16th of April. Nobody wins. Families are destroyed, lives are lost, and the people left behind, whether they're children who lose parents or families who lose loved ones, or society as a whole who has to carry that damage. We all have to sit with it. Now, finally, you need an early warning, recognition, and intervention. In both of those cases, there were signs. You had somebody typing on the internet that they need help. They see in dark places. Stop shit. I'm out of here. Gun incidents. I'm out of here. You out here playing. You out here playing with pew pews. It's time to go. You can't live in the same. Look, emotional distress, escalating conflict, pressure building. Those signs have to be taken seriously, not dismissed. Friends, family, even professionals need to recognize when a man is reaching a breaking point and intervene early before the situation escalates. Somebody should have told those women, you need to ease back up off this man. I'm just suggesting to you, you need to ease back up off this man. This man on the internet talking about he's in dark places. You need to ease back up off of this man. But let me tell you what the biggest failure is. In both of these situations, the most obvious and avoidable mistake was proximity. These folk never truly separated from each other, did they? Did they never? They still in the same house. In the Fairfax situation, you had a divorce filed years ago, and yet they're still living under the same roof. And they are contentious and litigating against each other in constant contact. They say they sharing the same driveway. They seeing each other every damn day. They running hot. That alone is a dangerous situation. You don't lay up and be in the house with somebody that you don't like and don't like you. Are you crazy? Hell no. Oh, hell no. Can I get oh, hell no? Oh, no. In many ways, divorce is not just paperwork. It's conflict. It's a certain form of war. And you know what they say? You taking positions against each other. You making moves that go directly against each other's interests, finance, emotion, reputations on the line. And y'all still living in the same house. Y'all still messing around with each other, sharing the same space, drinking out the same water faucets. You still seeing each other every damn day, pouring fuel on the fire. Even looking at you make the people mad at you when they don't like you. There's no cooling off period. There's no emotional distance. There's no reset. There's the pressure just builds and builds and builds. And the same thing applies, both of those cases. Whether we talk about Fairfax, what happened up there with the lieutenant governor in Shreveport, what just happened yesterday. If you are separating from someone, if you're breaking up, if the relationship is over, there's no reason to still be in close proximity. There's no reason to be going back and forth and still interacting and trying to be cool. In a way, that just keeps up emotional intensity a lot. Don't do that. When you break up with someone, be a man, be a woman, and make it clean. Move on. Leave. Be man enough or woman enough to leave. Separation means just that, separation. You can't separate while you still living under the same darn roof, still showing up at each other's spaces, still engaging in the same emotional environment that causes the breakdown in the first place. That's the early warning system right there. Distance. When I went through my divorce, I filed for divorce. The first damn thing I did was leave immediately. There's no back and forth. There's no maybe we can reconcile. There's no confusion. Once the decision was made, it's final. I removed myself from the situation completely because I understood that staying in that environment would only make things worse. And a lot of people are not grown enough to do that, but I'm grown. That's what grown people do. Go ahead, take that loss head on. It is what it is. People will come up, oh, you'll be all right. Y'all should work it out. They just want to see some mess. They know y'all ain't been getting along for years. Y'all can reconcile. Look, maybe for some people that work, but for most people, once it gets to the point of divorce and the relationship is over, continuing to stay in close proximity only increases tension and conflict and emotional stability and confusion. Get your ass on up out of there. And see, this is where your real friends and family and even the system itself needs to step in. Somebody should have said, y'all need to go on y'all separate ways. One of the elders in the family should have said, y'all need to go on about y'all business. Y'all need to get on up out of here and stop messing around with each other. We don't have any more grandmas. You can go stay at grandma. He can't come over there. She can't come over here. Leave that man alone. Leave that woman alone. Create some distance. Because once that pressure starts building up, there's no release. You are creating a situation where anything can happen. And if one person refuses to leave the other alone, that's when you start using the tools available by the courts of restraining orders and law enforcement as necessary. But the priority has to be to separate. Because that house is not that important. It ain't that important now, is it? To none of them. None of these houses that they was trying to hold on to, none of that is important, is it? Right now, huh? See, you trying to stake your claim and stay there. Material things are not worth your lives. And that house is going to be sold real soon. That's what's going to happen. The bank is going to take it, but the house belongs to the bank. Somebody else is going to be living in it. Somebody else is going to be enjoying that house you've been trying to stake out in. But the people involved, they're gone. They're going in the ground. They're gone. And now your family's left destroyed because you're trying to hold on to what you think you was entitled to. Because the legislature, the courthouse, and the law book say you entitled to half and some more of that and some more of this. There ain't no winning in this situation. So the early recognition is it's not complicated. It's not abstract. It's simple. When the relationship is over, leave. Create distance. Remove the pressure. Because if you don't, you're allowing that pressure to build unchecked. And when it reaches a certain point, you're no longer dealing with someone you can control. And by then, it's already too late, because once a man reaches a point where he feels like he has nothing left to lose, you're no longer dealing with a problem you can fix. You're dealing with a situation you can only react to. Now, I got some more to say. But right now, I want to thank all you beautiful people who contributed to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. This is a very sensitive subject, and as I tried to handle it the best I could. But what I said, I feel needs to be said. And if you all feel as though what I said needed to be said, it needs to be put out there. If you've learned something today, I should earn something. That's how I do. Now, that being the case, I want to give a shout out to the 15 people who contributed to the Super Chat, but I first want to acknowledge the people who contributed to the Cash App. The Cash App is running across the bottom of the screen. You don't owe me a damn thing. Let me say that right now. You don't owe me a hot damn. You don't owe me nothing. Nothing. I don't want nothing from none of y'all. I don't want nothing from none of y'all. I do this because I do this. You understand me? Nevertheless, I want to acknowledge all the people who did learn something, and you don't owe me nothing unless you learn something. But if you learn something, I should earn something. That's no guarantee that I'll get anything. But the bottom line is, big shout out to Reggie Banks. Reggie came through with the $100. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you learning something. Thank you so much. Who else we got in here? From the Cash App. The Cash App is rolling. Shout out to Mr. Robert Williamson. Thank you so much. Also, Clara Freshly, thank you. Pamela Hyman, thank you. James White, Karen Mathis, Brianna Reeves, thank you all so much. You all beautiful people. Thank you for the Cash Apps coming through. All right, we got 15 Super Chats. I would like to go ahead and read the Super Chats and read what the people have to say. And we'll try to address each one. Beverly White, thank you so much, baby. 5438. Thank you for the $10 super sticker. Who else? Kenneth Williams, 3932 for the content. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Kimi Queely, thank you for using your legal expertise on this issue. This is common sense. This is all just common sense, sir. All I did here was just give y'all some facts. I know what this media tries to do. They try to disparage black men and try to make us all look bad and whatnot. So, this is what I do. Okay, my man said, James Turner, 5029. I wonder what his military background was. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. I don't know what his military background is. And they clearly knew a lot more. Shout out to 803 CK00 SC. Thank you so much for the Cash App. Who else we got up in here? He who remains, long live the Blizzard King. Thank you for the $10 super sticker. We got 6 to 15 super chat. This shows that mind derangement shows no gender, no race, or no class. Yeah, that's right. Afro Merchant, new member. Thank you so much for the membership. Welcome all my members. Mark the Freelancers, one of my old school homies, been here for a minute. Thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. Also, Ask a Brother Podcast. Thank you for the $5 super sticker. And also James Turner, 5029. Dennis, damn it, you cooking. I've been through all of it. I know you have. But some men are not built for this. And the people need to understand that not everybody can do that. Patricia 0J2HQ. Stop lying to humanize these monsters. I'm not trying. I'm just, if you thought I humanized them by explaining to you the circumstances that they were going through at the time, that's not me humanizing them. That's you humanizing them in your own mind. That's me forcing you to look beyond that narrow scope and actually have to learn something. That's all that is. And the fact that you're fighting with it means that you actually did learn something. And that's cool. I've done my job, baby. Patricia. Be mad all you want to, be Patricia. I don't care. I did what I do. Anyway, Big J773, this broadcast was another example of how important your channel is. No other channel took the time to investigate this situation and break it down. How you deal with the facts and logic, no more time off in between broadcasts. Shit, I'm taking me a time off. What are you talking about? I ain't gonna be up in here all day with y'all. I got things to do. But thank you so much, Big J. Talk about you need to go. I'm gonna take some time. I might take another 2 weeks off. Ain't nothing you can do about it, Big J. I ain't coming back up in here with screaming at the YouTube. You see, I'm here early. I got to go to sleep. I can't be up late at night with y'all. Uncle D is getting old. I got to preserve my health. Praise Moses. But anyway, shout out to you, man. Thank you, Big J. Oh, man. No, I'm going to do some more this week, man. I didn't even plan to do this broadcast today. I had something else planned. But anyway, Eugene Steele, 598. Fellas, before seeking a relationship, make sure you understand who you are, establish your standards, your mind is right, and establish your peace and habit. Ain't that the truth? Speak it, speak it, speak it. Ashton Mulkey, thank you for the $20 super sticker. Also, great wisdom counsel. The bachelor party is listening. Hey, what's up, man? Oh, my brother BMI 3000. What's up, Doc? Good seeing you in here, Doc. So look, I hope you all appreciate what we did here. We got 15 super chats. Shout out to everybody who contributed to the super chat. Let's go ahead and wind this thing on down. Again, family. Okay. Let me close with this. All right. And I appreciate everybody who came through. Y'all make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button. Look, the reason marriage rates are down in this country, it isn't speculation. It's data. Okay. Marriage rates in the United States have been declining for decades. Fewer people are getting married. All right. People are getting married later, and people are choosing to opt out entirely. Now, here's the thing you have to understand, ladies, and I know you don't like that. I would suggest that perhaps maybe when you start thinking about marriage and relationships, men are the ones who decide who they get married to. Okay. Women may be the ones in charge of who's going to have sexual relations and who's going to impregnate them to have a child, but it's the man who decides who he wants to marry. Okay. So if marriage rates are down, that means men are not wanting to get married. Shout out to Sherry65. Always be careful and gentle when dealing with feelings of others, especially when the relationship breaks down. That's so true. Thank you so much. So, you know, there are a few marriages because men are they don't want to get married. And at the same time, you see a rise in numbers of single mothers, single mother households and delayed family formations, and more people, men especially, they remove themselves from the dating and marriage market. Okay. You can look around and on the internet, and I do from time to time. Again, I don't give relationship advice. This is not relationship advice. This is at this point, we just talking about basic survival. This is what we on today. All right. But what I'm trying to explain to you, family, is that, you know, it's hard. Brothers are not, men in general, are not hitting on women anyway. They're not going to the singles bar. Shout out to NTZ Club. They're not. They're not in the dating market anymore like that. All right. A lot of men have looked at the system, and there's a reason. A lot of men have looked at the system. They looked at divorce. They looked at child support. They looked at the custody battles. Right. They looked at the financial exposure. It's expensive. They've made a decision, and it's not an emotional decision. It's a calculated decision. They've said that's not a game I'm willing to play. So instead of trying to win the game, they said the only way to win the game is not to play. So they are not playing. And instead of stepping into something they know they're not built for, they've stepped out of it completely, and they're seeing the results of that everywhere. That's what you're looking at right now. You have more conversations now about women going to single events, saying that they can't find men, saying men aren't approaching them anymore, saying men aren't engaging the way they used to. And instead of asking why, the response is frustration directed at men. But those men are telling you exactly what the issue is, not with words, but with their actions. Men vote with their feet. They don't want to deal with the risk. They don't want to deal with the long-term consequences. They don't want to deal with the possibility of losing everything in a system that they don't trust. And you know what? I support those men. If a man knows he's not built to be a husband, if he knows he is not built to be a father, if he knows he's not built to deal with the legal and financial realities that come with that, then the most responsible thing for that man to do is remove himself from the possibility of that situation, period. That's not weakness. That is not weakness. That is awareness. That is discipline. That is a man understanding his limitations and acting accordingly. And instead of trying to shame these men or pull them back into the dating market or this system that they've already said, hey, I can't deal with that, you should leave them alone. Leave those men where they are. Because those men are doing you a favor. That goes to all of society. All you brothers who got a problem and all you men who have a problem with the brothers who don't want to get married and don't want a real relationship, leave them alone. They telling you they not built to play the game. All these brothers who are complaining about brothers going overseas and black men and white men, leave them alone. They are telling you that they're not built to play this game. And you keep trying to shame them back into it. They're telling you up front, I'm not the one. I'm not built for that. I don't want to deal with that. And you all keep trying to shame them back into the. I support the passport bros. I support men who want to stay bashers. Leave them alone. They're telling you, I'm not built for it. Period. And you should respect that because you don't want somebody to enter into something that they're not prepared to deal with and then crash out. I know that's hard to hear. That's not an easy answer, is it? That's not, you want me to tell them man up. Manning up is recognizing their limitations and dealing with that accordingly. Now, on the other side, if you do find a man who is willing to step into the role, who's willing to be in a relationship, who's willing to build, who's willing to take that responsibility, you need to understand what you have. You need to treat that man in that situation with care. Ladies, I'm not saying tolerate disrespect or cheating or anything like that. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: handle your relationship with maturity. Because once things break down, once you step into the legal system, once you start fighting each other, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everybody. We all got to see this mess. It's all over the news. We didn't put you in a relationship. Society didn't force you into that. Both of you grown-ups chose it. And now that it's fell apart in a very destructive and horrible way, everybody ends up dealing with the consequences. Families are damaged. Children are impacted. A nation of people have to look at their own be destroyed by their own. You think we like seeing black men unalive black women and black children? You think we like that? You think that's something that I find? You think this is the conversation that I wanted to have today? Here I am sitting here trying to uplift black men and speak up on behalf of men and be an advocate for black men, and then you got these two men crash out and unalive their whole family? And whether those are his biological children or not, this man sat up in that house and played daddy with him, so he took responsibility for him, if for nothing else in a spiritual sense. Same thing goes for that gentleman, Justin Fairfax, a lieutenant governor. You worried about these little funky dollars, and now you decide because it's inconvenient for you, you don't want to lose what you thought you should have had. Maybe it wasn't meant for you in the first place. Maybe you were some places you shouldn't have been. Maybe instead of being a lieutenant governor, you should have been an auto mechanic or airplane pilot. Maybe that's what, maybe you went down a path you shouldn't have went down. I'm just saying, I don't want to speculate, and I don't want to speak ill on the dead. But now we all have to sit here and clean it up. The whole society is impacted. It's not just two isolated incidents. It's part of a larger pattern of people entering situations they're not prepared to handle and then collapsing when the pressure hits. If you don't want to be part of that pattern, then you need to be honest with yourself. If your expectations with the people you choose to deal with. Because at the end of the day, the game don't change. The only question is, are you built to play it? And as I say, some men aren't built to play the game. Now, let me say this also before I close. I already know how some of you feel about what you just heard. I didn't give you the normal rhetoric. I didn't come here and just call these men evil, thugs, cowards, monsters, and tell them they're going to hell. I didn't do that. I didn't reduce this to a couple of labels so you could feel comfortable and nod your head and go about your day. That's not what I do here. And because I didn't do that, some of you are uncomfortable. Some of you think I'm excusing what happened. I am not even close. There's no excuse for what happened. None, no matter how much money. Life is invaluable. I don't care how much you don't like that woman. That didn't give you the right to take her life. None of those people, especially the children. That'll give you a right because you're mad. Speak candidly. What I'm doing is something different. I'm pointing out a reality that people don't want to face. Any man, that means you men listening right now, whether in this live or rebroadcast, any man under certain circumstances is capable of breaking. And that's the truth. And when you combine extreme pressure with access to lethal means like firearms, the consequences can become immediate and irreversible. That's not about blaming guns. I'm not about shifting responsibility. I'm about recognizing how fast a situation can go from conflict to catastrophe when everything lines up the wrong way. And I know that's not what some of you came here for. You thought you were going to get something that feeds your universal narrative, something that reinforces what you already believe, something easy to digest. You thought you was going to get some baby food. Gave your ass some rump roast up in here, didn't I? You got something bitter, too. You thought you was going to get something sweet. Gave you some turpentine. Something that forces you to think. Something that makes you reassess how people behave under pressure and how we all contribute to the environments that create that pressure. Now, let me say something else, especially to the people directly involved in these kinds of situations. Stop escalating the conflict. If a relationship is breaking down, stop arguing nonstop. Stop threatening each other. Stop getting in each other's face trying to prove a point. Stop using the system and weapon in a way that inflames the situation instead of resolve. I'm going to call. Yeah. Because you don't know where the other person's breaking point is. You don't know how close they are to losing control. And the family members, stay out of their business. Unless you bring in peace, stay out of their business. Too often, people on the outside make things worse. You don't know what's going on in that relationship. All you're doing is adding pressure, they're adding commentary, trying to be picking sides, and they using what you say against the other one. You stir things up without having to live with the consequences, instigating. You don't know what happened inside that relationship. You don't know the history. You might know one side, but you don't know the emotional weight both sides are carrying. And when you insert yourself in the wrong way at the wrong time, you can push a bad situation into a dangerous one. And I understand this isn't the kind of message that makes people comfortable. I know that. It's not popular. I'm not popular. If I was popular, I'd have more than 100,000 subscribers. I'm not popular, but I'm accurate. I can go to my grave knowing I've been accurate. I know what I'm saying is not what everybody else is saying, but just because something is uncomfortable doesn't make it untrue. A lot of things people don't like to hear are the very things they need to be said. Because if Ann, one of them was my daughter, they wouldn't have been dead right now. Ignoring those signs don't make them go away. It just guarantees that they'll see more of the same. And the reality is you're dealing with a generation of men. Let me talk specifically to this younger generation of men. And I'm not saying them old cats wasn't doing this back in the day. Young fellas, let's be honest with each other. Little skinny jean wearing dudes have grown up. That's y'all. Okay, you had helicopter parents. I'm not talking about all of y'all. Some of y'all can handle it. Shout out to the younger brothers. I'm just respectfully. Somebody type respectfully in the chat room. Respectfully. Y'all was just painting your fingernails 5 years ago. Now you think you ready to be a daddy and a husband? You think you prepared to handle the level of pressure that comes with a relationship and marriage and the family breakdown? Huh? I'm not saying you inherently weak or bad. I'm not saying that. I would never disrespect a youth like that. But what I am saying is you weren't conditioned the same way I am. I'm Generation X. I ain't had nobody. I don't give a damn. I got left at home alone since I was 4. I'm gonna be all right. I'm as insensitive and callous as hell, and I've been like this when I was a preteen. I was raised like this. Whatever happens, happens. I don't give a damn. Sorry. And the people that came before me gave less of a damn. Okay? I don't even think our parents really liked us. You understand what I'm saying? We just kind of happened. But some of you all cross conflict emotionally, but you still have the physical capacity and determination to act on that emotion in ways that are irreversible. You're not equipped to absorb the loss in the same way. And see, that combination, emotional reaction with the force to act, is dangerous. That's what happens when you have a man who was raised by a woman who has the physical capacity of a man, but the conflict resolution skills of a mom. The mom he was watching. I love you all. I love y'all. I love the younger generation, millennials on now. I love y'all. But y'all not built to play this game. And that's across the board, all races. But instead of pretending this is real, pretending this is about one type of man or one group. I'm not saying that. We need to acknowledge what's actually happened, because until we do something, nothing's going to change. And if nothing changes, then this won't be the last time we see this. We had this type of conversation. I ain't going to have a conversation again. I'm just saying. Now, before we get out of here, I want to leave you all with this something constructive, because this conversation should just end with analysis. It should lead to a direction. Now, I know we got a lot of women that follow my page. I don't know why y'all follow me. I'm old and gray haired and all this type of shit. I'm not handsome. I tell y'all that all the time. Okay. I'm like somebody told me I was a cross between a grizzly bear and a teddy bear. Maybe it's the teddy bear part y'all like. However, this is a very important conversation. Okay. I think it's a very important conversation. All right. And it shouldn't just end with my analysis. Okay. It should lead you in a direction. Ladies, if you follow my page, it shouldn't just end with my analysis. And there are a few women on this platform, and I've mentioned them a couple of times, hint, hint, hint. And I would actually recommend you listen to them, and hopefully they will cover this subject. One of the ladies' name is Shay Chardre. Let me see if I can find a picture of her on YouTube. Okay. Miss Shay Chardre, spelled Chez. Next word, Charde. Tell her Uncle D sent you. Okay. Ladies, tell her Uncle D sent you. You have your own manosphere now. Little woman sphere, whatever you call it. I don't know what they call it. Okay. I'm gonna put a picture up so y'all can find her. She's married woman, pretty little married lady. Let me see if she can find the page. Hold on a minute. All right. Her name is Shay Chardre. She might have a different take than me. All right. Might be a little bit more palatable. That's her right there. See that? Shay Chardre. See the name with the little line right there at the end. Go over there in her page. Okay? Go over there and follow her page. All right? There's another young lady. These are people I personally recommend and like. Okay? I'm not saying there aren't others out there, but if I was to recommend anybody to listen to, I would say listen to Miss Shay Chardre. Okay? Now, there's another lady I like, and you all probably know her very well. Let me see if I can find her. Her name is The Crimson Cure. The Crimson Cure. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. Did y'all see that? This is The Crimson Cure right here. See that? That's her page, The Crimson Cure. All right? I recommend her. I recommend you go over there and listen to what she has to say, especially if she talks about this stuff. Please tag them. Tell them Uncle D said, come over here. All right? So y'all come on over there and check her out. She probably will have something interesting to say about a lot of different things. Okay? I speak from a man's perspective. I'm an advocate for black men. However, these are ladies that I listen to. She's also married. Okay? She's also a married woman. All right? Now, there's another lady. I don't know too much about her, but she is funny. I like listening to her. She's hilarious to me. And she talks a lot of sense. Okay? Her name is Messy Michonne. I like the name, Messy Michonne. This is Messy Michonne right here. Okay, do y'all see Messy Michonne? Tell her Uncle D said, hey, y'all go over there and subscribe to her page. Bottom line is, so we got that, Shay Chardre, The Crimson Cure, Messy Michonne. Y'all go over there. They will give you from a woman's perspective, because he might be mad at me. All right, I'll go okay with you being mad at me. I'm talking to men. I think the men will agree as to what I'm saying. Maybe what she says, what these ladies say, and they come from three different perspectives, three different parts of the United States, but they have some common. I like them. I listen to them. Okay? But these women whose content I've come across over time, I'm telling you, if you're serious about understanding these nuances and complexities and relationships like this that are not always black and white, go on over there and check them out. Okay? And that's to the ladies. All right. And stay subscribed to my channel. Don't leave me. Don't you leave me, but you definitely should subscribe to those sisters over there. Now, the reason I recommend is simple. I can sit here and say everything I've said and stand on it is accurate. But the reality is, for a lot of people, a lot of ladies, and some of you men too, because you were raised by women. I'm just saying, you don't want to hear what a man has to say. I understand that, fellas. You got mama and you keyed in to listen to what women have to say. You would listen to that woman more than you listen to me. Those women could say the same thing I say, and you more inclined to listen to them. And I'm okay with that, long as you learn. Uncle D is about to learn it, baby. Okay? Uncle D wants you to learn something, baby. I want you to know what you need to know so you don't crash out and go crazy. All right? That's what I want. All right? Now, again, a lot of people, it's easy to hear these things coming from a woman's voice. It's more palatable. It lands differently. And sometimes that's what is needed to actually get through to people. I'm not doing this for a popularity contest. I'm doing this because I'm trying to help my people be better. You understand? And what you can't get from me, you can get from one of your aunties over there, one of those sisters. They'll tell you. They probably say some of the same things I'm saying in a different way, more palatable. I've been around YouTube a long time, long enough to know who's making sense and who's not, who has integrity and who doesn't. And these women, okay, they're not only intelligent, they're entertaining, they're funny, they're talented, and more importantly, I believe they're good for our people. You understand? They're good for all people. They're good for black people, white people, Hispanic people, but I truly believe they're good for black American people. I've listened to them myself. And when I have time, they've earned that level of respect. I've even contributed to the campaigns. I don't give nobody no money. Y'all don't give me no money. I don't give nobody no money. But to those ladies, I've donated to them on a regular basis. And I thank them oftentimes for their time and energy. So I would encourage you to go check out their platforms and take time to hear different perspectives, especially ones that are grounded in reality and not just emotion or fantasy, because the more we expose ourselves to truth, even when it's uncomfortable, the better equipped we are to make decisions that don't lead us down the same destructive path. I hope, prayerfully, I hope this content, okay, and content like this can help guide some of you on your journey through life and help you avoid situations that can spiral out of control and ultimately help us reduce the kind of outcomes we talk about today. Now, with that being said, I thank you all for your time. I appreciate you all. God bless you all. As I always say, I said this from a place of love. And that's about all I got to say. This is Uncle D, and I'm out.
In the Spurling podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe.